basically, we can just start with the fact that in our previous session, um, you all returned to the Moonglade Lodge um, after having gone on your adventure on Elensar Isle. Um, you went there to inform Lena and Mally of your adventures and all the events that had transpired with Ayla um, and her leaving with a member of the cult of Talona. Bjorn was a bit concerned on the way back that he couldn't trust Sorn anymore, as Sorn had made very little attempt, seemingly, to keep Ayla from leaving with this cult member. Um, and you discussed it with Lena, and Lena kind of saw both sides of the equation, but didn't really give that much of a clear direction to Bjorn in that sense of like, she didn't want. She agreed that she would have liked to have seen Soren do more, but also understood where he was coming from. But that evening, as you were preparing to sleep, you were ambushed by the Mordoon and an Imperial Inquisitor named Elendor. You were all, from there, incapacitated by magic, accused of violating numerous laws, and arrested for it. Elendor read a letter sent to the Mordoon written by your former compatriot, Ayla, who basically accused you all of treason and told you told the Empire where to find you, giving them specific details about where to find you, who you all were, and also mentioning Grayson and his plan to overthrow the Empire, as well as mentioning the portal to somewhere you'll never find out now because it's been destroyed. Um, from there, after your arrest, you were sent to the Dreadnought prison in the Della. How did I even write this? The Della and Foglier, yes, the Della and Foglier Desert, where eventually, though it took Soren a little while to destroy some of the magical crystals involved,
I have one
you
hand.
you were able to escape the prison with relative ease, as you were trying to leave quite early in the morning before the main day shift of guards was available. You did kill a few of them. Um, after which, after having this, um, and this is where we're sort of filling in gaps here, but Bjorn did decide to leave the group for now, at least, as he sort of wrap his head around had surrounded everything. At first, he was believing that he couldn't trust Sorn, only to find out that Sorn was not necessarily right, but it was Ayla who shouldn't have been trusted. And having now escaped execution at the hands of the Mordoon for a second time, Mali also decided to flee and run and go into hiding, and asked Bjorn to escort her to Ithelrem, where she felt she might. And I would say that Soren probably advised her that would be a decent place to go, given the sort of moratorium on combat that is there, and that everybody sort of agreed that this is for trade and there's keep your politics out of Ithelrem is essentially the setup. So if she kind of goes into the middle dark, as we've discussed, that might be a place that she can lay low and live out her life, possibly. Um, Additionally, the Moonglade Lodge was in fact burned to the ground, and all magical items that were in the lodge at the time were confiscated by the Empire. The, as mentioned, the portal that Grayson had created was destroyed as well. You were able to recover a small amount of gold, which uh, Soren rolled for in Discord. I don't know how much it was, like 100 and something.
110.
Yeah, so you got 110 gold between the three of you at the moment. You were also able to recover any non-magical weapons and armor. That includes any silvered weapons that you had as well. So, meaning
I just so I know, my new guy has nothing
He
since he
probably
was not from this house.
he can have the short sword.
yeah, he could have the short sword that you got from the prisoner, or from the guard rather.
Okay. Yeah, I just wanted to make sure because they never found any of his belongings, so everything he had is gone.
Yeah. So you guys are. This is why I established it. This is kind of like chapter 2. You guys are level 5, but you're kind of starting over from the beginning in a way. But Lena has her gun and would have like her bullets and stuff because the Empire didn't really care about that stuff. They basically, the Mordoons saw things that were magical and they took them, and anything else they just burned the place down and didn't really care about. Also, if there was any obvious gold, like the big sack of gold that Bjorn had, like they took that. So
Oh, I didn't tell you he hid each piece at a separate point in the house.
inside of books and
Yep.
yeah. So Soren is probably the one who lost out the most. Lost a lot of interesting items as well as his spell book.
Lost a fucking sword as well. I'm more upset
Yep.
about the sword.
Yeah, lost the drow sword. But because of the way that he puts magical runes into his body, he does have his cantrips and first level spells. He just needs to recover everything else. So, just to kind of, I discussed or I posted this in Discord, but I'll just kind of give you a bit of a rundown as to, what's been going on since you guys left prison, essentially, and we can kind of like go around the map and discuss what's going on. So we're assuming roughly about a month that you guys have been doing whatever it is, I guess, that you guys would do, since you don't have a base of operations anymore. But starting out in Stonefall to the northwest, rumors persist of cults taking control of the local government, with officials going missing. There are mysterious murders, and the locals claiming that vampires are involved. Your acquaintances, Denard and Rowe, were last seen, or last you heard, that's where they were going. But
What was the other paladin's name that they went with? The guy we found in the cave.
Johann was also
Okay, I couldn't remember that.
Which, oddly enough, the picture that you chose for your character was the same one that I used for Johann.
Is it?
Yeah, but it's fine because he will unlikely play any much of a role later on, so it's no big deal. He was just the naked guy that you found in the cave originally. He was always supposed to leave anyway, but anyway, so that's kind of what's going on in Stonefall. There's not a whole lot. I mean, like Roe and Denard, like you guys are like, again, your acquaintances with. They wouldn't have felt the need to like contact you and let you know what's going on. You didn't know them. They did rescue you, but that part of like just their contract with, so kind of a business transaction rather than friends necessarily. And south of Stonefall, towards Ferndale, and more so in the sort of the hilly region down here, not quite mountainous, but in that general area, there has been open conflict between the tribes of the northern Megalross Mountains and the Orc tribes of the Fairdeath Mountains, which I mentioned earlier. Now, there are a few things that are a bit strange about this. First being that these conflicts rarely sort of spill out of the mountains. The orcs generally kind of keep to themselves. They'll come down from time to time and raid farms and stuff like that. But it's never been to the point where they've caused mass chaos or murdered a bunch of people to the point that the Empire has sent people up in the mountains to kill them all or anything like that. And the same thing with the tribes in the Megalross Mountains. It's like, it happens rarely enough that they come down and cause a little bit of problems, but then they go back to where they came from and kind of leave it at that. This is actually like borderline warfare between these tribes, and it's to the point where you can see that it's multiple tribes from both sets of mountains, both the tribes from the Megaros Mountains and the Orc tribes as well, are banding together to form again almost armies on both sides. And even more strange is that each side appears to be led by a singular sort of charismatic leader, which is unheard of. First of all, uniting either of these sets of tribes is not an easy thing to do. And both like the human Goliath tribes uniting to fight against the unified Orcish tribe is something that no one has memory of. No one in living memory, this has not happened. And because of this, even though this is actually like warfare between the two, and they're not causing that much damage to farms or to imperial civilians, I guess. The Empire has dispatched military from Otar to the northeast to come down and put an end to both of them. But as our game begins tonight, the army from Otar has not yet reached the Farendale area. So they would essentially be on the march at this point. So moving southward a little bit, we get to Testra. Testra has become much more difficult to enter, and the Mordoon now have a much stronger presence in the city. It is rumored that the queen is becoming more and more paranoid, and she fears that there are plots against her from all directions. And as part of that, she has accused Baranor and its dwarven leaders of working with the elven kingdoms on the continent of Niska and an attempt to depose her. Baranor denies this fact outright and claims that she's just lost her mind. So that's good news for everybody. So Ornkaima, the closest place to you guys, and probably the place that you would have heard most of these rumors, has seen an influx of money and resources with the appointment of a new magistrate who's named Alistair Kane. And he is contracting a lot of mercenaries to patrol the area, keep things safe for these new merchants and builders who are arriving in town to put together all these new shops and new homes. And so there are a lot of postings for jobs and things of that nature there as well. So going further south again, you heard rumors of Rune Tall, which has been suffering from a number of different sort of plagues and diseases and completely wreaking havoc on its population, and has gotten to the point that the Empire and one of the things that you would have discovered over time is that the Empire, for the most part, is rather loath to get involved in a lot of stuff. It's like, yes, you're all part of the Empire, but like just do your thing and give us your taxes and bring us your resources and stuff, and we'll sort of let you do what you need to do. So in that sense, if you sort of look at these as like city states where each sort of city kind of has its own rulers and it has its own resources and the things that it makes and things like that, and the Empire just sort of oversees the whole thing. So they're loath to get involved. And in this particular case with Rune Tall, the Empire has sent troops to essentially quarantine the city and keep people from leaving, keep people from entering. There are, a number of sort of like staggered checkpoints. And it's to the point now where anyone who is seen trying to escape Rune Tall is generally just killed on sight to keep them from spreading their disease any further on Valinor. And this is actually a quarantine around the entire city. So you couldn't even go to Elensar now the way that you did, because they're keeping people from leaving via the docks as well. And finally, Bariena is struggling to keep the influx of undead coming in from the dead fields at bay. You'll remember that Thorgrim, a recent ally, was headed there as well. As for aid from the Empire, have been mostly, but you do know that Alice Kane in Orn is offering contracts to assist them at this time. But that's where we are right now. And here you guys are with no base of operations, very little money. Your confidence in others has been shaken. But part of the other reason to sort of jump ahead a little bit is to establish that that Ivar, you have been able to spend a little bit of time with these two, so that you don't have to make your introductions necessarily, and that we can kind of just pick up with you guys knowing each other for some to some degree, so that you're not just strangers at this point. But at this juncture, it's up to you. Up to you guys what you'd like to do.
Well,
Do we even need Soren to talk with what he wants to do? I think everyone knows.
I mean,
Everybody knows what he wants to do.
first of all, what type of armor do you wear?
Heavy. I lost a set of chainmail and longsword, which were the only things I really cared about, since I have recently made a new holy symbol out of wood.
Do you use a shield?
Yes. So you know more about my equipment than I do, because I forgot I had a shield.
Well, we could afford a chainmail and a shield before we set off anywhere.
And you could probably get that at Ornkaimen.
Yeah, so we can spend 85 to finish gearing you up if you're okay with a short sword.
Well, I was going to say that my guy would offer, if we could make it to Ornkheim, he would try to talk his way into having no payment for himself, like you guys can take payment, and only being equipped to go handle the task. He would just ask for the armor and sword and shield. I mean, he doesn't even need the shield. Pretty much armor and sword would be more important to him. He would try to talk his way into that.
I mean, I can disguise self and help with that adventure.
Yeah, he's I mean, he's a paladin, so I mean, obviously he's pretty charismatic, but he has his ways to be even more charismatic. And yeah, that his I don't know what Lena would want to do, but his idea, well, his thinking is you guys pretty much just saved him. He was in prison for pretty much 2/3 of the time he's been on this continent so far, so he still has a lot of learning and stuff to do. So he pretty much would follow you guys anywhere, but it was stuff to go to Ornkaima to try geared up, and then possibly down to Bariana, since that is where there is undead and stuff to learn about. And also, you guys, would you have told him about the Archmage?
Yeah, I would have informed both of you about the Archmage, Bariana, and stuff happening in the south.
Then yeah, he would be all for heading down south if everyone else was. But like, even if you guys said fuck you, we're going north, he would follow you because he feels like he owes you for saving him.
Sorn, go ahead and make a not combination, but just two separate rolls: an intelligence check and an insight check. I'm just curious to see. I don't really know which is better, so I'm gonna make you do both.
Shit, I got that set to self. I was testing out spells. Oh, I rolled a 23 to myself, but I'll roll it again. Shit.
Of course.
I mean,
I'll believe you.
I have the recording.
Yeah. I believe you. So then just do an insight check real quick. Okay. So less with the insight, but more so with the intelligence. Part of the reason that I mentioned it in the little introduction, and I don't know if other GMs do it this way, but I like to have intelligence checks to like give you a clue about things that you might think of. And so I feel like Soren, you might start thinking So especially when you're sort of discussing what you all want to do, and if Ivar mentions like, hey, I'd like to go to Byriana and see what's going on there, Soren, you would kind of like put a few pieces of the puzzle together and realize, okay, so we know that Thorgrim went there, and you also know that Thorgrim had a rather uh, ominous artifact with him as well. So that may also kind of make you think, yeah, that might be something we should take a look at as well, because not that you necessarily think that they're 100% related, but just the idea of all of those undead and this artifact that you had all discovered was evil, and Thorgrim had it on him and was going to Balriena.
And he never threw it off the boat.
Yeah, so it's just like it starts to click with you. You're like, ooh, yeah, that's probably not a good thing.
Yeah, it's probably attracting the undead.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I don't know what the goals are for both Lena and shit. What's your new character called again?
Either Ivar or Ivar, whichever way. Like, I mean, I'm sure accents would change how you say it.
Oh, which would you prefer?
He calls himself Ivar.
Ivar. Okay, so Lena and Ivar. So I think over what the last month you would have explained what your specific goals were. What would they be?
Lena, you want to go first?
Sure. Lena, over the course of the month, would have been a little bit more quieter or subdued and agreeable with what everyone else's plans were, and she seemed rather interested in going to visit the Archmage. Was, I guess, her top thing. But of course, she wants to go and help people down south here and there as well.
And remember, they're pretty close. I mean, if you're looking at the map, I mean, like the Archmage is probably like almost like due east of Balriana. I mean, he's in those trees there. At least that's where you were
The
told.
forest with the dead birds.
Yeah, that's where Garland told you that he was going. But nobody in Balriana had any interest in going to find it at that point. They had their own stuff to worry about. But
Ivar would have told you that he is a member of a very old order called the Knights of the Eternal Order. They are a group dedicated to Kelemvor, who is pretty much the god of death, but kind of just very, very neutral, not like evil, not like, anything bad, but they are very, very against the undead, and his order is tasked with gaining knowledge and destroying undead. So he's been sent here to gather as much info as possible, find out what's causing it, and put an end to it. So pretty much he came here about 2 months ago. He was in prison for about a month and a half, so he did not get to gather much information. So you guys telling him this stuff, he's ready to start investigating more, and down south sounds amazing for that.
And just to give you guys a little bit, I mean, because again, like our deities for the most part are based on the Forgotten Realms, and there's a little bit of variance in that. But Kelemvor was a human who was ascended to godhood. But just as a quick reference, because I know you guys are familiar, Kelemvor would probably be most closely similar to like the Raven Queen.
Yeah, as in death is a part of the cycle, nothing evil.
Yes, death is part of life and that type of thing. So he's not considered an evil god. It's that he's more of the ferrying the dead to wherever they're supposed to be. So he's considered the Lord of the Dead, the Judge of the Dead. And so he is, kind of like ferrying the dead on their way essentially. But it probably
undead is what he hates more than anything.
Exactly. It's very similar to the Raven Queen in that sense. The undead. Kelemvor hates the undead. So they're sort of two sides of the same coin.
But don't worry, he's not the typical emo death paladin. He is a drunk, so
yes.
It'll be very.
Yes, he is personality wise quite different than the Raven Queen is portrayed. but yeah, that's sort of like, just if you're thinking of the realm of what he sort of is in control of, it's virtually the same thing as the Raven.
Okay. And I think Son would mention, yes, he has the obvious interest in the Archmage and Barriena, but he would also have interests in the tribes and Bjorn's tribes. Because as it stands, the north is pretty much inaccessible due to Empire hold. Runtal's going to be inaccessible due to the Empire surrounding it. So we're kind of being put into a corner with no allies. So, if we can get tribes on our side, Barriena, even the Drow, we get information, stuff like that.
Yeah, it doesn't look like Baranor is going to be open for Lena anytime soon, with them being accused of treason, basically.
Like
There's two other places. So Stonefall in and of itself, as I'd mentioned previously, has actually always been a sort of an outlier of the Empire because they were the last city to fall under the control of the Empire. So they've always been sort of on their own. Of the rest of the cities that we have established on the map, Ithelrem obviously is your sort of like neutral area where you could probably consider yourself relatively safe. The only other place that wouldn't be or could possibly offer some safety would be Vanima in the swamps to the northeast of Ornkaima. And in Shay, the port town would not be probably a good place to go. Linnea Arna, which is like on the lake there, that is essentially like a Dalen's Closet, I guess, type of thing, where it's sort of like the vacation town where all the rich people go. And Enid Talar, which is to the north of the Central Mountains there. It's I haven't established a whole lot of backstory behind it, but it would also be fairly, I guess, I don't want to say under control of the Empire, but they would be considered very much part of the Empire. So Stonefall outside of Baranor, if you could sneak in there without anybody getting to you, because if you were in the city of Baranor itself, they all think that Queen Ashra's lost her mind, so they're just kind of like getting their defenses together in fear that they're going to be attacked or something like that. But if you could get in, you would probably be relatively safe.
Okay.
It would just be a matter of them letting you in. But yeah, in the southern part, I mean, that's generally where you're always going to be, because outside of Stonefall, most of the north is, as Rob said, under Imperial control. Vanima doesn't have a whole lot of natural resources, so it doesn't really. It's essentially in a swamp. It used to be a much larger and more important city than it is now. But yeah, at this point, I don't know how much of a reason you would have to go there other than a place to be like just to hide. But there are also probably smaller towns. Again, there's a whole lot of stuff on this map that it's not on there. There's like smaller places like Grass Hill and Ornkaima and all that. But
yeah, like I say, we're kind of not short on options, but short on options for what's applicable for the characters.
Yeah.
Well, I am all for going down south if you guys are.
Yep.
Pick up a job in Ornkaima and go for it.
Yeah,
And of course, you're probably best to go straight from Ornkaima, like past Moonglade Lodge, although probably make a little bit of your way around it a bit, and then going through the Dolan March of Forest.
Yeah, we're not walking past Astra.
Yeah, you would, because that's the other thing. For the most part, now you could probably stay, somewhat close, because you don't want to go too far off the road going down to like Ithelrem, but you can all assume that you are wanted at this point.
Yeah, another reason
Now,
why we don't have many options.
Yeah. Now, whether or not the Empire is going to spend a whole lot of time searching for you is another thing, because the reality is, of the groups, um, like the people that they arrested, they would probably be most interested in Sorn and Mally. They're going to be less interested and Ivar and Lena, especially Lena. Lena, you're guilty by association. Like you're like they don't really care that much about you. And and Ivar from Valinar, and you're not like, known to them, and that's and I'm sure that having been arrested, you would have told her you were.
Mhm.
They're less interested in you. Soren, you would know that like actually um and this is something that I hadn't mentioned previously, but like Valinor is the home of the elves, but for the most part, like this is where the Drow are in the world. Like there aren't really, you don't go to Niska and find Drow. Like this is where the Drow live. They live in the Underdark in Valinor. Like that's where almost all of them are. So the drow that you would find in other places of the world would be people that are probably there are very few, if any, sort of like underdark civilizations outside of Valinor of drow. Because I'll even say just for the because if we're looking at like the world map, the majority of the Underdark is under Valinor. There are obviously you can go to the Underdark in other places, but like as far as the cities and stuff, you're not going to find much in other places. You're going to find probably creatures that you don't want to find, but people who live there, most of it is in Valinor because it's elves and um, Duragar.
Yay.
You might find some Duragar um, in the dwarven uh, homeland. There might be some Duragar in the Underdark, but I would say probably even like 95% of all drow in the world are in the Underdark of Valinor.
So we're rare outside of an island.
Yeah, the drow are in themselves somewhat rare anyway, and then to have them, being that they were elves and being that you're Underdark, if you were, the Underdark is large and it goes obviously in a lot of different directions, but we saw the map. I mean, it probably doesn't reach under the ocean to all of those different places in the world. So
Yeah,
I will
that's a
I will
big
not say that there are no drow, but this is kind of where they're centralized for sure. So I would say that the Underdark itself is probably much larger than Valinor is, um, branching out quite a bit more. So there's still a fair number of drow. They're just mostly here.
So yeah, I think we're gonna try to get a job in Ornkheimer to be sent down south so we can gear up before we head off.
And I would suggest, since Sorn, you said you can disguise yourself, right?
I can.
Yeah, I would suggest you any wanted posters up in Ornkaima before we go into buy our stuff. And
Yep, can do.
So let me pull this up here. So you make your way into Ornkaima, and um, Ivar, you probably wouldn't notice because you may never have even been there. But for Sorn and Lena, you would have. It would seem like a very, very different place than even the number of months ago that you guys had been there previously. You can see because if you'll remember when you first went there, I mean, it was basically just kind of a pit stop. There were a few inns and a few shops and sort of places that you could stop and eat. A few places, general goods stores and stuff like that. But really, the only people that lived there were the people that worked there. So it was nothing special. But as you sort of make your way there now, you can see that the city has expanded, or the town, I guess, is more appropriate, has expanded quite a bit. You can see that there are now multiple inns. Some of them obviously brand new and quite nice, and there are multiple shops, and you can see that they've sort of built up residential areas for people to actually just live there that don't necessarily, have to work in that. They may work in the fields, or they may do other work, even possibly in surrounding areas. But it's not just a pit stop at this point. And you can see that there is a sort of a fairly large central building that they have built, sort of like a town hall, where the magistrate Alistair has sort of set up shop. And just speaking to a few people, and we'll just say that Soren, will have at this point disguised yourself to sort of get the lay of the land and have discussions with some of the people in the area, and you do get the idea that one thing, Alistair appears to be rather trustworthy, in the sense that he always he doesn't try to cheat anybody. So he says, here's what you're paid, and whether or not they're like fully successful, because if you'll recall that when you originally tried to do your first your first jab for Grayson, Bjorn's best friend tried to cheat you guys out of money by saying you didn't fulfill the role exactly as you were supposed to. Terrence Vaughn was the guy's name that Bjorn wanted to kill for that. Also had a ring that Soren would love to have, because it regrew his hand. If you remember way back when.
Yeah, and removed the scar on his face.
Yes. So Terrence Vaughn said, well, you didn't fulfill the contract, so I'm not going to give you. Grayson eventually gave you the money anyway, but there's none of that with Alistair. It's like, if you can prove that you made the attempt, if you weren't 100% successful, if something was out of your control, he's still going to pay you for what you did. If the issue is resolved, for better or for worse, the issue is resolved. This was the pay involved, and he'll give that to you. So he's sort of built up this reputation where, a lot of mercenaries are like, hey, look, this is good money. This is a good deal. We know that we can trust that if we go and we risk our lives for this, it's going to be worth it. Now, the only sort of weird bit about it, I suppose, is that nobody's 100% sure where this guy came from and where his money is coming from. So that's the only sort of oddity, I guess, that has sort of cropped up a little bit. The other thing that he is quite making a reputation for himself, I suppose, is that what he does is, this may also interest some of you as well, is that he will essentially loan out equipment, or loan out, so let's say a specific request or bounty or whatever you want to call it requires certain things, and maybe you guys don't have it. Well, he'll say, okay, well, I will let you borrow that from me, and if you don't return it, then I'll take it out of your pay. But if you return it, then I will then take it back and then give you the full amount of the award for completing the task, what have you. And he also is willing to do the same with on the down low, and this is something that you hear from rumors. So go ahead and do a let's see,
investigation.
I'm trying to think of more of a convincing somebody. I guess just do it
Persuasion.
Do a persuasion, I guess. See if you can get people to sort of spill the beans a little bit.
So this will be normal, not how it says disadvantage, because I am currently disguised.
So yeah, I mean, on the down low, he's also been known to sort of offer two separate sort of like I don't even know how to describe it, but he will offer you guys like he will offer his hires maybe some magical items such as some potions that you may take along for the journey. And again, like the other things that he offers, if you use those items, he will deduct the cost of those things from the reward that you would get. But if you don't use them and return them to him, then he will give you the full amount. And also, he's been known to sweeten the deal, so to speak, as far as like he has some additional items that he's willing to part with if you either perform the task sort of above and beyond what may be the initial task. So if you are asked to maybe like capture a bounty, but you kill them instead, he might still give you the full award for killing him, in the sense of like, okay, well, this thing is resolved, so I'm going to give you the money. But if you do to the letter what the request is, then he might give you a little bonus. The reason being that he's trying to entice people to continue working for him. So you've heard that he's offered people nothing like drastic, like he's not giving you a +2 drow sword or anything like that, but you know,
You just had to throw that one in there, didn't you?
I did just to dig the knife in a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But he's been known to offer a few like sort of like lesser magical items as rewards as well. So that's kind of the majority of that. That's basically what you hear. Is that and description? He's described as being a sort of middle-aged human man, somewhat of a good-looking guy, pretty charismatic. Seems to be quite intelligent, very friendly, very open, and everybody's pretty happy with his resurgence of the area. So
I mean, we could probably do one or two smaller jobs just to make sure we've got enough equipment for either, yeah.
So, I mean, first and foremost, go ahead and just do a.
Oh, you thought the exact same thing as I am,
Yeah.
aren't
What were you thinking?
you? Fucking Grayson.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, what? Like Mike, you thought he was obviously a vampire or something.
Yeah, I thought he was gonna be something terrible.
Well, because that's the thing. It's like that's always how it is, no matter what I do. If like I introduce somebody who's like super cool and super nice, everybody's like, "Oh God, he's terrible. He's got to be evil."
100% Rakshasa or something.
Yeah,
Which,
but
by the way,
yeah, this guy's
as a quick spoiler, unless I did use one in our previous campaign because it was actually part of the shit, I can't remember what it was now. Rob, you're playing it in your other game. That
Dragon Heist.
Yeah, Dragon Heist. So there is a Rakshasa in Dragon Heist. I will never put a Rakshasa in our game because I think they are stupid. I like the idea behind them, but again, it just goes back to cat people. I just can't.
Then it'll be another one of your freaking. What was it? The first NPC we met, the innkeeper, was a fucking dragon. So it'll be something like that.
Yeah, but suddenly a super charismatic person turns up out of nowhere.
With money out his ass and...
Here, I'll also give you this spoiler. Alistair is not a dragon. There you go.
But is he a tiefling / horn devil variant?
Do a insight check. No, you haven't even met the guy yet. So.
Oh, of course, this is just what it's sounding like someone we may know.
I know. I mean, like that's the thing. It's like it's difficult as a GM because it's like if I make him super nice, it's becomes suspicious. If I make them like obviously evil, then that's kind of like you guys don't assume the opposite. So it's like I don't know. I can't win. And then if I make them neutral, then you just don't even think about them and they become boring. And then you're
Well,
like,
no,
okay,
Grayson, I didn't think anything negative about him, even though he was nice and helpful and stuff like that. But
that's true. I just
just
made him.
coming out of nowhere
I
with
just made
this
it make sense.
money, it's like you son is something. There's whether it's good or bad, there's something weird about it.
Well, you guys do. I mean, there is something a little bit. I mean, you guys do notice that. I mean, that's not even just you as players, you as characters, and actually the people in Onkaima also noticed that. That it is weird that he showed up and started like building up this town because nobody knows. Like he's not somebody that people knew. Like he didn't come from Tessera, as far as anybody knows, and nobody knows where he gets his money from or why he would decide to do this. And he has not told anybody where he's from or why he's doing it either. So yes, that part I will admit to you is strange, and everybody around him thinks it's strange.
Well, we should probably try to meet him to get a job.
Well, when he's looking around and talking to people, does he notice any wanted signs?
Make a perception check with advantage. Why not? Just for fun, because you're disguised. 11 with advantage. You do notice some wanted signs. They are in fact only for you, Sorn, and for Mally.
Yay!
At least you can disguise yourself, so that's not the. It's probably the best of a worst case scenario.
Yep.
And essentially, there are you're a little bit offended because the drawing, like the depiction of you, is quite horrible. They make you look like a a freak, with your scar and everything like that. And they use some verbiage that is not particularly complimentary to Drow. And they also say some pretty terrible things to Mally as well. Calling her a freak and all those types of things. But for the most part, like it's more of a like they make it clear to, at the very least, stay clear of you. So they're not saying that there should be citizens arrests if they happen to find you. It's contact the Mordoon immediately upon suspicion of these people, but do not. But essentially, armed and dangerous. Don't try and apprehend these terrible people.
Yes, enemies
but
of the state.
exactly. Mally has a 2,000 gold bounty on her head. Soren, you have a 1,500 bounty gold on your head.
Kind of insulted.
Well, she for Mally's situation is a little more personal to them, I think. So, also they actually don't tell you to contact the Mordoon. They tell the people to contact the office of the Inquisitors. And as I mentioned, I think in the last game that though they work together, the Inquisitors and the Mordoon are separate entities. Both Imperial factions, but separate.
Shall we pay a visit to this Alistair and see if we can get a job and some gear?
Yeah, sounds good to me.
He bites you all and turns you into vampires.
Well, shit.
This is a smaller town still, right? Even though it's being built up.
Yeah, I mean, probably at this point, there are, I would say, probably still less than 1,000 people here.
So, all right. So my question would be, if we're walking in, do we know how? I'm assuming he's in the big central building, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty close to the center of town at this point, but still, because the center of town, the town being somewhat small, it's probably, when you walk through what you had originally seen as the gates, and if you remember, there were gates. That's where you found I already forgot his name, Terrence. So from the center gates, you can see directly in front of you the street going straight ahead. There are buildings on the side and stuff is being built around that center street, but essentially in the center of that, at the end of, not necessarily the end, but basically from the gate, you can see the new building that has been built. It is basically complete. There are some smaller things being done, but that is where Alistair is based on the discussions that you've had.
All right. Then when we get closer, I would like to have a quick look around, make sure no one's like staring at us, like watching us or following us or anything like that.
Do a perception check.
All right. Not good at these.
I mean, from what you see, everybody seems to be pretty busy. The majority of the people that you see appear to be workers. So there are people that are bustling back and forth, carrying a bunch of lumber, building and stuff like that. It's kind of an interesting scene. Essentially, is that you see a lot of like people that are seem to be working and they're building and stuff like that, but you don't yet see a whole lot of visitors. So it's kind of curious to see that like you're building all this stuff up, but nobody's coming here right now. So a little bit odd, but
Okay.
yeah.
So as we're walking, we get like towards the door. I want to kind of just purposely drop the little wooden symbol I have to the ground. I'm going to kneel down, pick it up, and as I am standing up, I will mutter a few holy words, and I will have +5 to charisma checks for the next 10 minutes.
All right, very nice.
And as I stand up, I will walk towards the door, hold it open for my two friends, and let them go in.
So are you telling me as a paladin, I don't have to be the party face anymore?
Hey, I mean, this is my first time playing a paladin. I think the only other charismatic based character I played was a warlock. Yeah, it'll definitely be a change for me.
So you can boost your charisma, and Soren can disguise himself, and like Lena will like part her hair on the other side of her head. Kind of make it a little different. So
well,
doesn't
Lena will
look
put a
like
gun in your face and say she's
Well-
more intimidation than sweet talk.
Well, maybe put her bangs down or something. Try to cover her eyes a little bit so that it's not dye her hair. I don't know, but yeah. So you can see that like it's not a large enough city, and it's not a large enough sort of like operation at this point that that Alistair has like a secretary or anything like that. So when you walk in, I mean, you can see that like there is sort of a premise behind that concept that may eventually come into fruition. But you can see that as you enter this sort of city hall, there's kind of a lobby area, but just behind that lobby area, there are double doors and an office behind that. And you can see that those double doors are actually open. And you do see a human male that you assume is Alistair. And as you walk in, he kind of motions to you. He's like, "Oh yes, welcome. Come in, come in." He kind of has to yell it because he's a little bit further back, but you can see that he appears to be pretty much the only guy in this rather I mean, comparatively speaking, for a town like Ornheim, it seems like a fairly large building at this point. But
Lead the way.
Yeah, I'll approach. I'll bow my head a little bit, and I'll just say, "It is very nice to meet you. My name is Ivar. These are my traveling companions," and I'll motion for them to introduce themselves.
I'm Lena.
Yes, I am Halvor.
and you can see that he gets up from the table and very graciously comes up and shakes your hand and says, "Oh yes, very, very, very nice to meet you, and please have a seat." And there are some chairs for you to sit down at. And he gets behind his desk, and you can see that he appears to be a bit distracted. He's got a quill out, and he's making some documents. And please, what can I do for you? This will take just a moment. And he continues writing a little bit.
Yes, we have heard you are hiring for jobs, specifically one that was going down to south or to the south. I'm already fucking mixing the accents up.
Look, I just give you credit for trying it, right?
Yeah.
I have a number of jobs that I can offer you. Was there anything specifically that you were looking for?
Um, yes. Well, I come another continent. I'm new to this land. What was the name of the city that we were planning on going to down south?
Bariana?
Yeah, yes, this one. With apparently there are talks of undead and such down there.
Oh yes, and then you can see that you start shuffling through some papers, and I'm also not from Valinar. If you'll not mind me saying so, this is quite a strange place, isn't it? Give me just a moment, and he's flipping through the papers, and
I'll look up and say, "Oh, are you new to the land as well?"
yes, I am indeed. Haven't been here too long, but quite exciting to be in a new place, and
Yes, I'm still trying to learn the customs a bit. It is a bit odd seeing no temples or anything around these lands.
oh yeah. No offense to you, good sir, but that's to my liking, I suppose. I find the temples and stuff to be a bit intimidating, but yes, I
I
do see here.
always was quite a fan of the architecture myself.
Oh, well, definitely beautiful buildings. Um, and Soren, if you want, you can do a perception check if you'd like while you're doing that. But he says, yes, I do have this job here. Very few people have been interested. You'll find that most people are rather averse to finding out about undead. I can't say I blame them, but yeah, if this is something that you'd be interested in, and he kind of hands you the paperwork, sort of describing this is Soren. If you actually look at it, you would recognize that the initial request is actually from Garland, who you have met. Um, Basically, just requesting any assistance in the um, uh, in helping defend Bariana from an increase of undead. The offer is for initially 250 gold, and with the possibility of additional gold, essentially per head. So if for however many undead you kill, you may be able to get like an additional 50 gold per. Um, so if you make a big difference, you would be additionally rewarded for that. Alistair himself um, is willing to offer a healing potion for each person involved. So, however many people involved that would accept it. So, in your case, he would offer 3 of them for you. And upon successful completion, he doesn't specifically state what it is, but upon successful completion and agreement upon possibly continuing in his employ, he may offer additional rewards, which is not specifically written in the document.
Okay.
So, would this be something that you would be interested in? I do have other available.
Eh, Well, this is quite interesting to me. Would you give us a moment to speak amongst ourselves?
Yes, and he sort of smiles like, if you'd like to step out into to the lobby there, you can close the doors to my office and discuss whatever you need to discuss.
Most appreciated. And he'll stand up, bow again, and bring everyone out and close the doors behind him.
Do I see anything that reminds me of Grayson's office?
The only thing that seems similar is that he does appear to have a lot of books in there, which Grayson also did. But aside from that, and aside from the fact that he seems a little, I don't want to say he appears not even remotely as sort of like eccentric as Grayson did. He does seem a little strange. But I think it's more about the fact that you guys are not used to seeing people that are nice and happy. But aside from that, nothing really like jumps out at you as like reminding you of Grace.
So, what do you two think of this offer?
Well, we're primarily being paid to go to a part of the island where we need to go.
This is also very in line with my interests here as well.
And it seems getting into his good books would be a good idea considering things he can offer us.
Also very true.
Plus, it helps to maybe not have as many enemies as we can.
Well, I was always taught that you should never take the first offer given, so perhaps we will do a bit of negotiations.
Well, I wouldn't mind some bullets and running real low on the normal type.
I was thinking for myself. I have none of the equipment that I have come here with, so perhaps he will lend me some, and I can accept that as part of my payment.
Well, I can certainly assist with negotiations if that is what you wish.
Yes. And now just one more time. What is your name again? Because I forgot what you have told him already.
I have told him my name is Halvor.
So I'm assuming it's something like that.
Halvor.
Okay, Halvor. Okay. All right. Okay, because I almost called you Sword in there, and that would not have been very good.
No, considering there is a wanted criminal by the name of Sorn.
Yes.
And a wanted criminal by the name of Lena. No, she doesn't. She's not actually. She may be wanted, but she has no bounties on her head.
Well, then I say we go back in. We can accept the offer and bargain for what will be needed for this journey.
Very well.
I'll walk back up to the door and knock on it.
Oh yes, come in, please.
Open it up. Let those two go in before me. Close it behind us again. And just look and say, well, after discussing with my companions here, we have decided that this is a job we are very interested in. We do have a few other questions and perhaps a request or two, if that is okay.
Oh, please. I'm more than happy to discuss.
Well, you see, I have just recently come into contact with these two. Of my travels here, have not been treated very kindly. I was robbed one day on the trails. So I am completely lacking the tools necessary for me to complete this job.
Hmm.
If you could possibly provide me with maybe a longsword and set of armor, I would be willing to take that as payment for what will eventually be a job well done.
I think we could possibly come to agreement there if you'll first. Well, first and foremost, what is it that you would require besides the as as the contract mentions? You will be provided with one healing potion each, which I trust you will keep quiet as the Empire frowns on such things. But
Yeah.
in addition to that, what is it the equipment exactly that you require? Is it
Uh,
just for you? Or is it for all of you? Or
Well, I can speak for myself right now. It is perhaps a longsword. If you have one that is silvered, that is very good against undead. I have dealt with them in the past. Um, Perhaps a set of some sort of heavy armor. Chainmail would be very good, and if possible, a shield. But other than that, that would be the only equipment that I would need.
And extra bullets for me if you have any. If not, it's
Alright.
okay.
I believe I may be able to assist. And However, I would just to cover my bases here. Could I get you all to just to sign the contract beforehand so that I can have something to sort of lean on as a. I can offer you these materials, and I assure you that you can have your pick of them. It's just you're new to me, and I would like to have some sort of assurance on my side to make sure that I'm not the one who's getting cheated here.
That is perfectly understandable, but we would have to fully go over the contract, the terms. It's in no means to disrespect you, but you have to be cautious in signing contracts.
Oh, absolutely, and he offers it to you to read. You guys can all do perception checks if you'd like. And I mean, this is not, at least for you, Soren, and actually Lena as well. This isn't entirely like outside the norm. I mean, like you did the same thing for Grace, and you read through it, and I mean, it is the sort of legalese type of thing that you would have expected to see. The Soren, the only thing that you would it doesn't strike you as odd, I suppose, or anything like particularly sinister in that. But you can see that there are a few things that could be interpreted in different ways. And again, it doesn't. It doesn't strike you as like, again, it's just like the wording behind it. Like, I wrote a few things down just to kind of give you an idea about sort of the things that you would see is that it does say that like it lists like the benefactor being Alistair provides the adventuring party the following items. So it like specifically says like he gives you 3 healing potions, and then any items that you might take otherwise, so like the bullets or whatever, to be used exclusively in the pursuit of whatever goal the contract may state. And it also mentions like the items must be returned to the benefactor upon completion of the task if they are not used in the pursuit of that task. So there's the open to interpretation. So he can tell you like, bullets, you don't have to return them to me, but like if I give you healing potions and you don't use them in the pursuit of this, you're supposed to return them to me, just so that because otherwise he'll deduct it from the cost of those items that he provides from the cost of your reward. And it says like the adventuring party swears to make sincere effort to protect and safeguard any non-combatants that they may encounter during the stated task, as well as those encountered traveling to and from the stated task. So you can see that he's even included things like, if you come across anybody like innocents, don't leave them to die. It's your responsibility to like protect these people and take them and to save them, essentially. So those are the kind of things that you sort of see that are like, he didn't specifically state that, but you see it in the contract, the idea of like, don't be a dick. Like if you see somebody in need, help them, kind of stuff. So it's a kind of a strange thing to have in the contract without like him specifically telling you to do that. But it also, as you're reading, sort of says that, if the task is to kill somebody, or in this case, like kill undead, it says the adventuring party swears to leave none of their foes alive in pursuit of the stated task. He also says that while the adventuring party is operating under the terms of the active but yet unconcluded contractual agreement, you will be offered a 50% discount on all services provided by Alistair. as well as priority access in cases where demand exceeds supply. So essentially, he's offering you guys first dibs on items, and he will also give you a 50% discount on those, so long as you are in pursuit of one of his tasks.
So basically,
aside from that,
the contract is don't be a dick, do the job, and I won't screw you over.
and the only other thing, and this is where it gets a little bit muddied, and it's hard to determine exactly how this would be determined, but it says, should the adventuring party like lose possession of items provided to them by the benefactor, which is in the contract, it says the benefactor. I'm just like pulling up some, like trying to put stuff together that sort of like sounds legalese. So if you should lose some items that he gave to you that are not intended to be consumed, whether it be potions or scrolls, you would be liable to reimburse him for the cost of those things. And it also, but to follow it up, it also mentions like an installment plan can be arranged. So like if you lose something that's not used, he wants you to pay him back for it, but he doesn't like say, you owe me 250 gold right now. If you need, because he's understanding of the fact that like the people that take on these contracts generally need the money to do it. And so if the reward is 500 gold and you lost a bunch of items that cost 500 gold, he's not going to be like, well, you risked your life and now you get nothing. It's going to be like, well, here's your 500 gold and just pay me back as you're able.
So overall, it seems like a reasonable contract.
Yeah, I mean, there are I would say that with a nat 20, you can see that just like in most contracts, like you feel like there's some wording in there that could be a little bit muddied in the idea of like the interpretation of it, I guess. But again, it doesn't appear to be anything particularly sinister. The only sort of like thing that catches your eye is that like there is that he is given the right to determine a suitable penalty if you break the contract. That's where it gets a little muddy because it doesn't specifically say what that means. It just says a suitable penalty for breaking the contract. That's the I would say of all the things that you read, that's where it's a little vague in the legalese, and you're like, okay, well, what does exactly that mean? And it's not spelled out what that means.
If you don't mind me asking, could we receive some clarification on what suitable punishment would be?
Well, first and foremost, I do believe that says penalty as opposed to punishment.
Semantics.
But generally, it's just financial restitution, favors or services of the like. So if, for example, you were to break a contract, I may require you to accept another contract or accept another task for me for restitution for breaking such a contract. But I can assure you, if you talk to people in town, that most people are more than willing to deal with me, and I've been more than fair. And so far, at the very least, I have not had to implement that clause in any way, which I'm quite happy about.
That's good to hear, but it was something I certainly had to ask, considering that this contract is generally well worded.
Well, it is a bit of a specialty of mine, but you have to understand that I do, in this line of work, I am required to cover all my bases because, as you can imagine, there are somewhat less than savory people who choose to accept some of these jobs. Some people pretending to be other people, or hiding from the law. That's that kind of thing. You understand. So I just
Can
need
I
to make
insight check
sure.
this motherfucker?
Yeah.
I'm terrible at this, but I want to try.
Of course, we've had stealings in the past of people who had certain things in their contracts or required certain aspects. So you understand our trepidation.
Oh yes, for sure. I want it to be mutually beneficial for everyone. And an 8. I mean, like you don't get the idea that he's like specifically knows something that he's not letting on. Like it genuinely feels like he's just saying that like in general and not specifically saying,
Okay.
I know you guys are flying to me. Like it does. You don't get that
Okay.
idea. Like he does seem to be speaking in generalities, and it makes sense that he would be speaking in that terms because you would like at least some of you would know, at least probably that that's true for mercenary work, right? Like you're not going to get the most upstanding citizens that do mercenary work. So he's not lying in that sense. Like what he says makes sense to you guys.
Okay.
Because I mean, with the exception of maybe of Ivar, I mean, Lena's not necessarily, but I mean, like you've probably all done some shady things.
Oh, Ivar has definitely done stuff too. He follows his own laws.
So yeah, I mean, he doesn't. Again, like he says that, and the fact that it's true in your sense kind of hits you a little bit, and you're like, ooh, does he know more than he's letting on? But he doesn't appear to at the very least, and it makes sense that he would be cautious in that regard.
I can only imagine how much trouble that you would be in if someone pretending to be a worker came in and was really working for the Empire here. They do not take very kindly to outsiders, it seems.
They don't, and they also don't take kindly to uh, magical items. They're a bit stingy about that, and I don't quite understand why, but
Hmm.
I must admit it is really annoying for my business.
Someone's just going to lean back and use his illusionary hand to start drawing the symbol on the back of his real hand for the teleportation circle.
Yes, I am still learning their ways here as well. I am not very welcomed due to my religious beliefs. They seem to have a problem with arcane and religion.
Yes, it's a bit odd given their history, but if if you haven't been to the South, you'll see in the South for a place that doesn't like magic, they certainly have a whole lot of it down there.
Well, I will not assume to speak for my new friends here, but I will accept this offer.
Yes, the contract is legitimate. I will definitely give it that.
Yep, I'm good with it too.
All right. So, before we go ahead and what he's going to do, he'll set you up for some items. But before we do that, let's take a quick break. I'm going to go grab a drink.
Alrighty.
Yeah, it's funny and also not funny how much this is screaming Grayson.
Yeah, I mean, my guy never met Grayson before, so he has no idea. But it definitely is a lot of similarities.
It's at the stage of, if it is him, just fucking tell us, you bastard.
Mm. Well, I was thinking about offering to do Zone of Truth, so he'll know we're honest, so that way we would know he's honest too. But definitely doesn't seem like something that would be suitable for right now.
Yeah, I mean, I've got detect magic, but I'd need like 10 minutes to cast it.
I could do that too, and I have a plan for when we leave this room. I'm going to be trying something.
If only I still had my dispel magic.
Teehee. Oh.
All
Yeah.
right. So, here's the other thing, right? So I'm not 100% familiar with how Gunslinger works because my only exposure to it is from Taliesin Jaffe. So I do believe that you are capable of creating your own bullets.
Yep.
I believe that you're like kind of like the general sort of thing. So like I'm not exactly sure like because I've read conflicting reports, so to speak, and I believe though it makes sense, right? So like because crossbow bolts and arrows cost 1 gold for 20, but the argument for bullets is that they would be essentially because they're less complicated than an arrow or a crossbow bolt. I mean, it's
Mm-hmm.
just a ball of metal. So just for the sake of argument for now, as far as if you're going to purchase them, if you want to mark this down somewhere, but we'll assume that the general price for bullets would be 50 silver pieces for 20. I'm just going to split it in half to make it easy for the math. And so for purchase from Alistair, who is offering you a 50% discount, I mean, we'll say that he'll offer it to you for 12 silver pieces, which again is kind of a pain in the ass to do with math as far as like, because I prefer to keep things in gold versus silver.
Just so you
But
remember, it's 10 for not 100.
all 10 gold is,
Yeah, 10 silver is 1 gold.
yeah. Okay. So,
So it'd be like 2 silver or 3.
yeah. So we'll do it that way. Because I
Is everyone else's roll 20 saying that they're the only one?
Yeah, mine's showing
Yeah,
me
mine's-
and you.
Okay,
yeah,
mine only shows me.
and I show me and you, Mike, and I don't show Tara.
Yeah,
or
mine's only with Mike, and it says the connection has
So-
been interrupted.
Yeah.
I'm pretty much the god of this game now.
Yes, you
Matt,
are.
Take yours, fucking.
So I did see that the connection to the server has been interrupted. Anything you do right now or attempt to send, we'll try to do it when you go back online. So yeah, I guess I don't
I
want to.
cannot open my character sheet, so do not refresh if you have it yet.
Yeah, I have not. So
Oh wait, stuff's popping up.
Oh, hey,
Yep,
yeah, I can
yep,
see
everybody's
Lena.
back.
No, I can't see Matt.
Yeah, I can't see Matt either.
Well, I don't roll that much, so
I will be the refreshing test dummy. I can see us 3 now. Yeah.
Now Mike disappeared. Oh,
Oh,
nope,
he's back.
there you are.
Oh, I'm Matt.
And there's Matt.
I mean, we have 110 gold. We can dip into it to buy bullets. So
Yep,
how
that's
many do
fine.
you want? Is the question.
Say 100.
So what did you say? It was 2 silver per 10.
Per 20,
Per
so that would
20.
Per
be
20. So a gold.
that'd be 4 gold. No, yeah, I did double, not half.
So
Okay.
100 for 1 gold from Alistair. That's a good way to remember it.
Well, yeah, I mean, if he would be willing to I would ask Storm and Lena if they would be okay with us just buying the armor from him since we could get it at half price.
Sure.
I'm fine.
So
So what you find is that he kind of sort of like puts his finger to his lip, kind of little shh motion, you know, and he kind of like motions you over behind his desk, and you can see even though it's almost comical, you kind of have to keep yourselves from laughing at him, but you can see he's being like really like he's doing something like super secret, right? And you can see that he's sort of like tracing like the books on his bookshelf, and like one of like make a perception check, everybody, real quick.
we suck.
I mean, I have a +2 in wisdom. I'm a wizard.
And
I have
Mike,
a +2 in that, yeah.
Mike, if you want to also update your character name so that we don't call you Bjorn by mistake.
Oh shit, yeah.
So yeah, you guys don't like you're too busy kind of laughing at him to know what he does specifically, but he reaches to one of the bookshelves behind his desk, and you can see that he's tracing sort of like his fingers across the line, the spine of the books, and then he sort of like pulls one out. And with your low perception, you didn't see exactly which one it was, but you can see that the bookcase kind of slides open, and then behind it, like there's an opening and these stairs that go down, and he kind of motions for you to follow him down. And it's not a super long set of stairs, but as you get down there, you can see that there is a fairly heavy reinforced door, and he like starts like unlocking a bunch of locks, and he opens it up, and as he motions you into this lower chamber downstairs, you can see that it is a very, very impressive sort of armory that he's got down there. And he's got just about every imaginable item, weapons and armor that you could possibly imagine. Now, in the entryway, essentially, you can see it's all appears to be very, very well crafted stuff. So like there's no rust, or you can tell that this is not secondhand um, equipment that he's got here. Now, when you first walk in, you see like you're not blown away by like the selection in the sense of like this is stuff that you've seen before. So you know, essentially, you see like some swords and some great axes and some chainmail and your regular sort of plate armor, and there's a few pieces of leather armor and that type of thing. But to the right hand side of the room, you can see in sort of like a cordoned off display, you can see some fairly impressive looking pieces of equipment, and they do appear to be weaponry. You don't see any specifically nice armor, but you do see some very impressive weaponry. And Thorn, do an Arcana check real quick. Yeah, you can just by the appearance.
Wow.
You have enough history with magical weapons that even without casting detect magic or anything like that, you're pretty sure that these weapons have some magical properties just based on the way that they look. But the general area that you're in right now, you can see all kinds of armor and weaponry. That again, quite nice. Nothing that like blows you away, but well crafted stuff.
Seems
So if you're looking for like a long sword,
Well, yeah, I looked it up real quick. A longsword, a set of chainmail, and a shield would come to 100 gold total. So if the group is cool with it, 50 gold would probably get me completely equipped, like for battle.
sure.
Yep.
Okay. Well, I would make that offer then. I realize that I said I would take it as payment, but with your deals that you are offering, perhaps I can just buy it now.
so how much did you say?
It is 75 for the chainmail, 10 for the shield, and 15 for the longsword.
So it'd be
So
about
100 altogether. And then if he's doing it for half, it'd be 50.
yeah, like 49 and a half, but yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so he will agree to 50 gold for stuff.
Right.
It's quite the impressive selection you have in the corner there.
Oh yes, and he kind of like looks around like he's expecting somebody to be listening to him. It's like I definitely have some other items that I generally leave to people that have worked with me for a little bit and people that have proven themselves to be a bit, you know, useful to me, I suppose. But for now, I'd certainly be happy to show this to you, and if you'd like to take a look.
Very much so. I've let's say an interest in magic myself.
So he sort of motions all of you over there, and you can see a number of very nice items. You see, I mean, without detect magic, you're not going to be able to see specifically what any of these things do. But he does have a short sword. He has a very nice dagger. He has a whip. He has a halberd. He does again. He doesn't have armor, but he does appear to have a few accessories. So he does have a ring on display. He has a great axe. He has a spear, and he has a crossbow. He has I previously mentioned he had a short sword. Actually, I take it. I didn't realize the stuff that I'd written down. He does have some armor, in fact. So he has that short sword that I mentioned earlier. He has a long sword. So going through the weapons, he has a shield, and he has a staff. And then he actually has 3 pieces of armor that I didn't remember writing down, but I have them in my notes. So apparently, I wrote them down. So he has a set of leather armor. He has a set of hide armor, and he has a set of plate armor. So as far as like outside of weapons, he has a ring, a shield, and then 3 sets of armor: plate, leather, and hide.
I wish I had the time to identify that.
But you can see these are all definitely special items. They are very, very well crafted. They are all very unique in their appearance. You've not seen anything like them. So yeah, I mean they're like encased like behind like glass. But they're all extremely impressive, even without detecting magic or anything like that. Even not knowing, like for Lena's case, that maybe they wouldn't assume that they were magical, but they are very, very well crafted, and that is obvious even to the layman.
Can you explain some of these items? Because they are quite fantastic, if you don't mind my saying.
Yeah, they do look really pretty.
Well, I will. I don't want to get too in depth into any of these things, but I'll give you a little treat, and I'll explain my favorite item that I've got here. And he points to the dagger, and he explains sort of like its capabilities, and that somewhat similar, I suppose, to some of the items that Vax had. The dagger, once attuned, and obviously I'm just going to sort of read you like the way that I've put this together, and not exactly like how he would describe it to you. But once this weapon is attuned, the dagger itself vanishes from existence, and as an action, you can call the dagger into being and make an attack on a surprised creature. If the attack hits, the target suffers necrotic damage equal to its maximum hit point. If the attack reduces the creature to 0 hit points, it is slain instantly and its body crumbles to ash.
Oh shit!
So it does its whole damage. It does all its HP and it kills it.
If the attack hits, the target suffers necrotic damage equal to its maximum hit point. Yes. So if the attack reduces the creature to 0, and the reason that it's worded that way is like, for example, like half orcs, anybody that has the can res back from 0 hit points.
Yeah. Temporary hit points, that kind of stuff too.
Yeah. So if it's reduced to 0 hit points, it's instantly slain and it is crumbles into ash. Additionally, the dagger gains a small notch on its hilt for each creature killed in this way. After the attack, the dagger vanishes again, and that ability can't be used until the next dawn. So that is Alistair's favorite weapon.
No, that sounds sinister. Good for assassins, I guess.
It's however, like that's what it does, right? So like this weapon is not a weapon that you could wield to like attack something with. Like it is only functions for this purpose. So like you can't pull it out and like stab somebody with it. Like it's once it's attuned, it disappears. You have to call it into existence, use it to basically attempt to one-shot an enemy. But whether it does or it doesn't, it vanishes and you can't attempt to use it again until the next dawn. So you can't call it out and then just use it for the rest of combat to try and stab things with, right? Like, so that's the stipulation, is that yes, it has the ability to kill instantly, but it's not an actual weapon that you could carry on your belt and use like a roll a d20 to try and attack with it. Like that's not what so it's almost in some ways it's almost like a spell, really.
It's kind of like the best RP dagger in the world. It's like not for combat one bit, but it can really change a situation.
Yeah, like and so there's no stipulation. Like you could be fighting the end game boss and try to use it on this, and if it hits, it's over.
Mm-hmm. Quick question: was the longsword I got silvered? Because I didn't take that into effect with the cost.
It would not be, because he does not currently have any silvered weapon.
Okay.
But upon requesting that, he does say that is something that he will see about acquiring. He hadn't had anybody ask for that, but he will certainly attempt to.
I'll just let him know, especially with undead, that would be very helpful.
He's like, I don't really know anything about undead specifically. It's kind of new to me, but I appreciate the knowledge. I will definitely see if I can.
It is what I have dedicated my life to.
That's really weird, but sure. Okay, yes.
The destruction of it.
It's still very strange, but I respect it. And you can see he just kind of a little bit sort of like taken aback by the whole idea behind it.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just trying to think. All right, so for the rest of you, maybe a crossbow for Lena would be Soren, you know how to use whips, right?
Yeah, I'm pretty much sorted for most weapons.
Well, yeah. Well, and Lena's a fighter, so she can technically use everything as well. But
yeah, I can do daggers, darts, slings, quarterstaff, crossbows, longswords, scimitars, bows, whips.
I could do it all too, and I actually have something that will be very, very helpful to Lena when we're fighting undead stuff. So you don't even got to worry about silvered ammo or nothing.
Cool. Although she's got, I think, 30 silver ammo from a long time ago.
Actually, I had never even thought of this, Matt. I can do this to her weapon. I know that, but is it her weapon doing the damage, or is it the ammo? So, like, because a +1 crossbow would still do the +1 damage and stuff, even though it's not +1 ammo, right?
Yeah, I mean that's kind of I think it's at the discretion of whoever.
Okay.
I mean, I'm kind of the mindset that like I'm willing to accept the fact that if you put ammo into a magical weapon, that the ammo out of the weapon could be considered magical as well, because that's just too much of a pain in the ass to be like, I need to touch each bullet you have.
Yeah,
Like,
that's what I mean, because especially with the whole
and
like
or touch every arrow as well. So like for me, I'm willing to just assume that the weapon can impart that magical
okay. So that
power
would
to
work
its.
for ranged weapons then.
Yeah, I will say yes.
Okay. Yeah, because I honestly never thought of that before with like projectiles. I never really thought like, how does a
Because
+1 crossbow work?
nobody plays rangers, and
True.
obviously gunslingers are not like a regular thing. But the other thing that I would say if Ivar is attempting to hide who he is, more so not who he is, but what he is, because I'm going to have Alistair do a insight check. So if you are attempting to hide, go ahead and roll a deception check for me.
All right. Has it been 10 minutes or more since we started this interaction? Or would I still have my +5 to this?
It's probably been more than 10 minutes.
Okay, so just a straight roll.
Nice.
Like, he has given his name and stuff, but he's just, as far as this guy knows, a guy named Ivar from far away.
Gonna be honest, I'm actually interested in that whip.
Yeah, wait till you get your Shadow Blade back and you won't be interested in any of those weapons.
To be fair, as a blade singer, you need to pick a school of fighting. And yeah, mine happened to be the school of the whip.
So yeah, he doesn't recognize what you are. It actually would have been surprisingly in your benefit if he did, but he doesn't. So yeah, I mean, like he describes the dagger and what it does, but he's reluctant to sort of describe any of the other items at this point for you. So he kind of at this point says, please, take any of these items. Was there anything else that either of you wanted or needed from here?
Myself, no. So I, like I said, I do have an interest in learning about that whip, but it is unimportant at this time.
I guess once we gain more trust, we can look through these items with a bit more detail.
Oh, absolutely.
I do have perhaps a request. You said you'd be willing to look into silvered weapons for future endeavors. I have come across a few of these things, and I'm going to nod towards Lena's. What do you have? A pistol?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was just going to say, perhaps you can look into maybe getting something a little bit more powerful in terms of whatever these fire sticks are called.
Oh, this is a pistol.
I've seen guards and such with much larger ones.
Yeah, I could certainly look into that. It's not something that's made here, but I would assume that a dual.
Because I am hoping that this is the start of a good partnership between us. The better equipment, the better the job outcomes, and hopefully we can prove ourselves to you with this one.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest, it's probably close to the hour since I've cast Disguise
It's probably
Self.
getting there.
Yeah.
Disguise Self, yeah. So if you want to hurry your way out, he will certainly not stop you guys from making your way out.
Oh, I'm not rushing people. It's just a case of if the conversation continues, I can't really cast.
Yeah. I mean, and you guys wouldn't. I mean, you get the idea that obviously if you did cast magic, he wouldn't necessarily be like upset or anything. He's just certainly not going to rat you out, given the fact that he's offering some magical items. But and so just don't forget, like, so you guys can all add a potion of healing to your
Oh, yeah.
character
Yeah,
sheet,
yeah.
which is 2d4 plus 2, I believe, since it's been so long since we've actually had any of these.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And I'm assuming all the healers' kits that we had all burned away too.
Yeah, any items that you would have had that were not on, well, yeah, any magical item would be gone. So yes, anything that you would have that was magical, essentially everything that's not your armor, your weapon is pretty much gone.
Okay.
All right. I would look between the two of you and offer my potion to Sorn because I can heal myself, and completely honestly, he thinks you look like you're weak, like physically weak.
God, what is it with characters and thinking Sorn's the weakest one?
I would assume you have the smallest amount of HP, and that's what I like. He hasn't seen you fight or anything yet, so it's not like that. It's just you look like you could probably take the least of a beating.
Until he grows big, long teeth and claws and rips things apart.
Yeah.
I mean, if you want me to keep hold of it, sure.
Yes, I tend to be up close in the combat. If something were to happen to me, it would be more beneficial to have you in control of it.
Very well.
And so, like, if you look at the loot tab, you still do actually have those lapidary tools. So, like, you could attempt to sell those if you wanted, because the only person that had any real use for them was Mally, and she's gone. So you could not necessarily to Alistair, because he probably doesn't care, but
That'd be like a stop in Skytop.
so they could possibly have a use for lapidary tools. You also have that jar of poison that you got from the sarcophagus in the tombs where Ayla's grandmother was born, where she was buried. I still got this drow coin, and then the drow bag of dirt as well that you found, in the tombs.
Yeah, we might as well look to try and sell the tools.
Well, as we're all gathering up what we took, I'll look at him and say, "Well, I suppose this will be a goodbye. Um, is there any way you would wish for us to contact you, or just come back when the job is finished?"
Yes, just come back whenever you completed your task or have some sort of resolution to said task.
Well, uh, we thank you for the offer, for allowing us to take the job. Good day.
To you as well, and I look forward to hearing from you again.
And I guess we'll all walk back upstairs, go out his door, and when we get to the door, like of his office, not of the building, is there anyone else in this building at all?
Not at all. It's just
Okay.
him.
So as we walk out his office door, I will go close them again, and I want to very, very quickly cast Detect Good and Evil as the door is closed. And then I would like to reopen the door really quickly and just, my apologies, I did not ask. Would you like the door closed or open? And I just want to check to see if he's evil.
Let's see. So what do we got? Aberration, celestial, elemental, fey, fiend, or undead. Or an item. Wait a minute. You know that there's a place or object within 30 feet of you that has been magically consecrated or desecrated. Mm. I'm just trying to read the wording of this.
Yeah. To me, it seems like you'll know if there is one of those type of creatures, and you'll also be able to sense out desecrated objects or areas.
So I would say yes. You do.
I don't think it would tell me if he's an evil. Like it won't. I don't think it would be like he's an evil elemental or he's an evil fae. I think it would just tell me what type he is.
But I see, I get that is that you don't. It doesn't even specifically tell you what type it is. It says for the duration, you know if there is an aberration, a celestial, an elemental, fae, fiend, or undead within 30 feet of you, as
Yeah,
well
true.
as where the creature is located. So I would say that you know it's one of those things, but I don't think that it specifically would allow you to pinpoint which
Okay.
one of those things it is.
Okay.
So I would say that yes, you would recognize that he is an aberration, celestial, elemental, fae, fiend, or undead.
Okay.
So he is one of those things.
All right.
I mean, I may be reading that wrong, but
It's one of those spells where, again, it leaves it extremely up to interpretation.
I'm gonna see if there's anything else. Continue on if there's anything else you guys want to do. I'm gonna look this up, see if there's anything else I can find.
I think the
Yeah, it
next
says
thing
you know if there is one of those, not what it is. So I don't know.
I always go to what's his name? Jeremy Crawford, I think is his name.
Oh, sage advice.
Yeah, because he actually is the one who writes the rules, like for Wizard of the Coast. So I want to see if so it says so as written, the spell does not allow for determining the difference between what these things are. It says in 5e spells do only what they say they do, and does not allow any way to differentiate the different types of places. So in addition to not being able to tell what one of those things are, you would also not be able to tell the difference between something being consecrated and desecrated. You would just be able to tell that one of those two things has happened.
Okay. So I just know that he is something aside from what he seems to be.
He is, well, not necessarily that he is he's something more than he seems to be, I suppose would be the best way to describe it.
Okay.
Is that he appears to be a human, and that may actually very well be somewhat the case, but he is in addition to also one of those other things, which also, now that I look at it, because again, I played a paladin once or twice, but it also kind of makes that spell suck because it's like, well, you know, he could be like undead or a fiend, but he could also be a celestial, which is about as good as you get.
Yeah. It's making you want to do something else, but I don't think I should press my luck.
So yes, but you with that spell, you were definitely able to tell that he is one of those things, at least one of those things. I will say that you also would notice that the place that you're in has not been desecrated or consecrated in any way.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, I would just ask him if he wanted his door left open or closed, and then whichever he said, do that and head out.
He just tells you that leaving it open is fine.
Give him a nod and head on out. And once we're out the front door, I'll look to the other two and I'll just say, there is something strange about him that I cannot put a finger on yet, but it is rather worrying to me.
Yeah, he seemed fine to me. Very helpful.
If I had some of my own spells, I may be able to help discern your issues, but unfortunately,
there is much more to him than meets the eye. So it could be something very good. It could be something very bad.
Too bad you didn't have a paladin that you could have tried to do this on Grayson, so that you could have like compare the two.
I could have done divine sense, and it would have told me if he was evil, one of those things. But
well,
if I had closed the door, I wouldn't have been able to see him because he would have been behind full cover. So we got our stuff.
I mean, I think we're going to try and sell the masterwork lapidary tools.
Yeah, well, we also may need to get some rations for the travel.
Agreed. We could probably afford what we needed with what we have, but unfortunately we do not need the tools anymore.
Do you think that somewhere like this would be best to sell, or I don't know the land as much. Is there somewhere else?
Well, we can check around here, but if not, maybe Skytop.
That's awful close to Tesla, isn't it, though?
Agreed. So we may be best suited trying to sell it here.
Sure. Let's take a look, see if we can find any sort of crafting area.
I'm just gonna dip in somewhere and recast disguise self.
Okay. Yeah, give me a second because I can't seem to find my notes from when I gave you those lapidary tools. So I'm trying to find out because I wrote down how much they were worth when I did that, but it's been so long since you guys found that I can't find my notes for where I said that was.
Yeah, it would have been probably the same time as the.
Well, because you guys got it from the when you went into the mansion, right? Like you found them there.
Yeah, with like the black dragon oil, the black files, the jar of sealing wax. It would have been that type of time.
Sadly, I just did a very poor job of like marking the dates of my notes. I was nowhere near as organized in this campaign as I was in the first one, unfortunately.
Well, it happens.
Big difference creating everything yourself too.
Well, that's the thing, right? Like, because I have so many notes all over the place that it's just been hard to like. I keep telling myself that like one weekend I'm gonna sit down and like try and like organize all this stuff together so that I can keep track of it all. But then I end up getting busy and then not doing it. Oh, I think I. Okay. Search here. Wow. There. Well, okay. All right. So I do see now the value of those. So I would say that in Ornkaima, you could probably get about 200 gold pieces for those tools.
To be fair, that's not too bad considering our situation.
That sounds perfect to me.
Yep.
Yeah, I think we'll take the 200 gold, please.
Right. You could probably get a little bit more from them from like somebody in Skytop, but 200 is what you'd probably get from here. Not a whole lot more. I mean, I'm not like trying to screw you guys. I think you could probably get about 250 gold somewhere else, but 200 is probably fair for Ornkaima.
Yeah, and we'd probably best if we don't start going right next to Tesra.
Yeah, probably not. I gotta.
Yeah.
So you can add an extra 200 gold. You can add your healing potions. And then were you going to make your way to Balriana directly, or did you want to attempt to locate the Archmage's Tower?
Or I was going to pick up travel supplies, but I think Sorn would definitely be leaning towards the Archmage.
Yeah, Lena's fine with that as well. And she's also going to grab, like, if everyone's fine with it, a healer's kit. So we've got quick healing if we need it.
I'll pick another one up because mine would have burned down.
Yeah.
So healer's kit are
It's
5 gold apiece.
Was it 5? Okay.
Yeah, it's 5 gold and then 10 uses per.
Yeah, so do you want one as well, Iva?
Oh no, that's one thing I like about the paladin. I can cast cure wounds, and I have tons of lay on hand, so I'm good.
The only bad thing is you don't get that stuff until you do a long rest.
Yeah, true.
But,
True,
yeah.
true.
So here's the next thing. This is completely unrelated to anything. This is just a personal preference to how you guys do it. Because I notice you guys. So this is just a general question to you guys, actually, as players, as people. Is so because obviously I've heard it. I'm sure you've heard it both ways. Would you call it an arch mage or an arc mage?
I say arc.
I generally say arc as well, but I'm just curious because I know that that's a thing that people pronounce differently.
I think that also comes down to where you're raised as well.
Right. Like I mean England versus America might say it differently as well, and Canada might also say it differently. But I was just curious as to what you guys like how you would say it cuz for me it's arc.
Take mine with a grain of salt because I also call liches licks.
Okay, well then yeah, you're just wrong in that case.
Yeah.
Yeah, me personally, I would say an arch, but it doesn't matter either way. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, I'm just it's more just my own curiosity versus, any like specific thing.
What, like sigil and sigil?
Well, that's also just Matt Mercer being wrong. Like, I'm pretty sure that is just sigil. I believe that arc and arch are both technically correct. I was just curious. None.
But yeah, I'll say I don't care if we said both in the same sentence. Would still know exactly who we're talking about.
I'm also like I think it's an interesting just term in and of itself, given the fact that like an arc and an arch are both sort of like curved structures, right? In reality, but so I wonder what the origin of adding that to things like archmage or arch wizard, like because that's a thing, right? Like that's in fantasy, like that's a thing that you use. So I'm curious as to even where that started, but regardless, that's completely off on a weird tangent. It just kind of struck me as a question, so I apologize. So what other items did you want to get besides the healer's kit?
It was travel supplies such as food to get us down there, that type of stuff.
So like a mess kit. Well, that's not really that's not food though. That's actually
Will we
like,
need tents and stuff as well? My guy has no idea about down south, like that far south. Is
so
it
at this
cold?
point at this point we can also assume that it's probably getting colder, and it is colder in the south, given again that Dalinar is in the southern hemisphere. So it is probably starting to get colder at this point. We'll probably be approaching. I don't know the exact time frame because I haven't been keeping track like I did previously. But we'll just like for the most part, let's just for the sake of ease, let's just assume that unless something crazy happens, that the season that we are in as humans is the season that this campaign is taking in. So we're approaching sort of like the middle of fall. So I don't know about where the rest of you are, but I know that like on Monday here in Ohio, it's supposed to be 13 degrees, which is ridiculous. 13 degrees Fahrenheit. I don't know what you weirdo Celsius people.
I'm Googling that now.
Their 0 is our 32, so
It's
Right.
-10-ish.
Yeah. So pretty damn cold for November is what it's going to be on Monday here. So that's kind of like where we're at, right? So we're in the autumn and the fall. So it's getting rather chilly down here in the southern part of Velen.
and just because I was curious, arch comes from the Greek word archon, which means ruler. So it is like a ruler of mages.
Nice.
And it is pronounced with the H. So Rob is right in that.
So it would be Archon is where the word would have the way that it would have been pronounced.
Well, it says it's pronounced Arhan. No, like the C
Arhan.
is silent.
Oh, even better. So an Armage?
It is pronounced Arho or Arhan. The prefix arch has been used with all sorts of other words to indicate leadership or size. In Greek, it is an H sound, but not everyone pronounces it that way.
All right. Well, we'll go with Archmage for our game, just for the clarity then.
Yeah.
So let's see. I'm trying to see what we've got. Does it even list any like food?
It's just rations. I think it's
Yeah.
Rations. So
I
what
think
do
it's 1 day is like 5 silver.
we got a water skin.
I mean, would we have to pick up kits again?
I mean, a mess kit is not really food. It's just like what you would have, like obviously like a spoon and you know, like a metal plate or whatever.
Oh no,
that
I
you
mean
would
like
use to eat on.
explorers kits and that type of stuff.
I'm not gonna make you buy those if you don't know. I mean, that's just it. I mean, I may say like if you want to buy, you might need to buy another length of rope. So it'd be 1 gold for like hempen rope or 10 gold for silken rope, which I don't know why you would ever freaking want silken rope, but
It's later, but I do not understand why people would buy it.
is silk any stronger than hemp though? It doesn't seem like it would.
I don't
be.
think it's. I think it's maybe weaker, but it just is a lot later. So
It's a lot lighter, but also it feels like you would have a terrible grip by comparison
Mhm.
to hemp as well. Bjorn's gone, so you don't need to buy soap.
he would not have taken kindly to that.
Yeah. I can't find rations anywhere. Why is that not listed on my thing here?
Ayla's gone, so we don't have to buy any daggers for her to stab in our backs.
So it would be 5 silver pieces for 1 day of rations. So, I mean, if you guys want to just spend 3 gold, I'll just say that's enough
Fair enough.
for all of you.
Sounds good.
I don't feel like doing
Mhm.
that.
Well, we'll also be hunting along the way and stuff, so that's mostly for like when we get to the desert area.
Which will also be harder to do now that Bjorn's gone.
Mm-hmm.
And actually also that Ayla's gone as well, because both of you would have had
Yeah, we
high
have shit survival now.
I mean,
Yeah.
I've got a +2.
Okay, so
that's okay.
not bad, but
I'm not trained, but I have a +2.
Yeah, Lena only has a +0 wisdom, so she's gonna be great.
that is my -1 skill.
Oh great!
Which
So
I mean, actually, is somewhat. I like it though, because I mean, like if you think about your characters' backgrounds, it's kind of like makes sense.
Mhm.
I mean, you're all for the most part not people that would have lived in the wilderness like Bjorn. So
I mean, I just like how I've gone from the most charismatic member of the group to the wisest.
Mhm.
all right. So is there anything else that you would like to purchase?
I mean, it's getting colder, so maybe warmer clothes and warm, like a tent to sleep in.
Yeah, oh, I think we've still got some furs, but yeah, furs, tents.
So like 2-person tent is 2 gold. I don't know why can't find a regular tent, but
Oh, we can get two people tents.
a 2-person tent is 2 gold. So I can't find why. I don't know what I'm not leaving. I don't have my.
That's the only one listed.
Is it okay?
Yep.
Well, I'll just say for the heck of it, if you'd like a 1-person tent, it'll cost you 1 gold instead. So you can buy 3 1-person tents for 3 gold.
Either way works for me.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
I was thinking I just saw something else that I thought you guys would probably want, and then I searched for tent and I lost it.
Yeah, we've gone from one type of campaign to a completely survival campaign.
Yep. What was I looking at? So you don't have horses anymore as well, because the horses would have been taken by the Empire.
Yeah, I don't think we can afford.
Your dogs probably would have just been killed.
Question: would they have killed my dog?
Well, your dog is like Frumpkin dog, right? So like it's a fey creature.
Yeah, but I would know if it suddenly just poofed out of existence.
Yes, you would. So you could call it back at any time.
Oh no, I'd need ingredients to fucking do that.
Yes, you would also need that. Oh, I remember what I was going to look for. You probably couldn't get it. So the other thing you're going to need is a new spell book.
Yeah, I'm not spending 10 gold on fucking charcoal.
It's 50 gold for a new spell book.
Oh yeah, I know.
Oh, I'm sure they sell those every corner store here too.
Well, that's the thing. You didn't ask him. Well, okay. Let, you may hold out hope that the Archmage may be able to do something for you there. But if he can't, Alistair would probably. Well, okay. So from what you know, you probably have 3 options that you can think of. The Archmage, possibly, just because of who he is. Alistair, possibly, because maybe he may have connections to do so. And then Ithilrim would be your other option because they can generally get things, but that's the thing that I didn't mention. Sorn would know this as a character. Um, Ithilrim can probably get you just about anything you would want. However, unlike from Alistair, who gave you a nice 50% discount, Ithilrim is going to jack up the prices like crazy, especially if it's something that is considered illegal by the Empire. You can guarantee they will be taking advantage of anyone that they possibly can to purchase anything at all. So if something costs 50 gold, like a spell book, you'd probably be looking at minimum like 200 gold
Yeah, and
because they can do it, and there's nobody. No, what can anybody do about it, right?
yeah, the problem is a sane person, if had magic, would not be asking around Ornheimer to buy a magic book.
This is true. However, as Ivar has just shown with his magic that annoys me as a GM, you know that he's not necessarily all that he appears to be. So, in addition to the fact that he just showed you some magical items,
Deal with it. I'm gonna use that shit nonstop now.
it's like, man, where's Bjorn? Because y'all would have just,
Bjorn
But
tried to fight him and gotten killed.
this is true. But the good thing is that you have no idea whether or not he could very well just be a freaking angel for all you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that doesn't line up perfectly with my vampire thought. Not at all.
Well, actually, vampires would not be any of those things.
They'd be undead, right?
Oh yeah, I guess they would. I guess they would be considered undead.
Yeah, but come on, I can't ask even if he is something he's not supposed to be. I am now considered a known criminal wielding magic, asking for a spell book in a place where I shouldn't be asking for a spell book.
I mean, if you asked him in the basement, I think it would have been fine, but probably not out here.
Well, and at the very least, it's probably better to try and ingratiate yourself with him before you would do something quite that. But again, I mean, like, he did show you some items, and he did specifically describe an item that you know very well is not a normal item. So he's opening himself up to the same sort of problems.
I mean, if we end up going back there, then sure, I may ask him, but not not on a first meeting am I going to ask him for a spell book.
Yeah, I'm just saying, from what you've seen, those are kind of your only options at the moment. Is that he might, given the fact that he was willing to look into the possibility of finding rifles and silvering weapons, and you know that he already had magical weapons, that might be that probably your third option, but it could be an option. And you know that you're guaranteed you can find one, but will pay out the ass for it is Ithilrim, and then possibly the Archmage might be able to find some way, whether he has an extra just laying around or can find some way to get one for you. That's probably your best hope, but Ithilrim would be your guaranteed. It's just a matter of you have to have the money for it.
I mean, I've still got those poison daggers where I can inject poison, so I might just end up buying some magical ore and just engraving ruins on myself.
Well, and you've also got some weird stuff in a bottle that you found, so you could just pour that on some daggers and see what happens, right?
Yeah, let me stab myself with poison.
But that's the thing, you don't know it's poison. You don't know what it is at all. You never even tried to find out.
Yes, let me just drink this jar of liquid out of a coffin from a poison cult.
That specifically has the symbol of Tolona on it, if you'll recall.
Yeah,
I
so
showed you guys a picture of it in Discord.
not the finest idea.
So you are all currently in Ornkaima, and you have just left the offices of the magistrate, where you have annoyingly found out that he is more than he seems to be, whether that means that he is a vampire or an angel or I don't really know what the aberrations exactly are specifically.
Aberrations are like fucking.
Well, like alien creatures, really.
yeah.
They're like
Yeah,
the,
So it could be like one of the
stuff like
mind
that.
flayer.
yeah.
Which,
Look,
if he was a mind flayer, someone would be pissed.
Yeah, aberrations are generally sort of the creatures from like the Underdark, generally, and they're like the that stone that you got when you were doing the dragon heist. That weird stone that you guys were looking for with the green eyes.
Had
like
one of
that
those in it.
Yeah, that's an aberration.
The Stone of Galore.
Yeah, the Stone of Galore. But I can't remember exactly what those creatures are called, but they're aberrations. You know that.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mind flayer,
just
illithid, something like that.
yeah, just weird tentacle monsters like Cthulhu and stuff. I'm gonna look it up while you guys are deciding what you want to do next.
So let's head south and hope we don't cover.
An aboleth. That's what I was looking for. An aboleth, which is like the weird.
Yeah.
And they actually have like psionic abilities, which is a lot of stuff like mind flares and stuff too. So it's a lot of psychic damage that those creatures do.
Yeah, my Shadow Blade would have done bugger all to an aberration.
So yes, so you now know that Alistair Kane is more than meets the eye. But from everything that you've heard and everything that you have experienced, seems like a pretty cool dude.
So I guess get the travel supplies and head back to the south. I vote we go through the forest and go on the road down there farther away from Tessera.
Yep.
That seems perfectly fine.
So I'm sure you guys caught it, but just as a to harken back to it, the reason that you all, when you were going through the Moonglade Lodge the first time, and the reason that everything seemed so quiet and still, was that the Mordoon were hiding in the forest around the lodge. If you'll remember when you were there last time, and
Yeah.
that was the thing that you noticed. That's why things were a bit odd. But as you're traveling through the forest now, you don't notice such thing. The forest seems quite vibrant. You hear lots of animal life, and I'll even say that just for the fun of it, you do see a number of fey creatures, such as pixies and stuff, just having fun, playing little annoying tricks on you as you're walking, as they did when you were in Skytop, when they were throwing like snowballs at you and stuff, they're making leaves fall and getting in your eyes and just dumb stuff like that. But again, it's kind of fun. It's kind of breaks up the monotony of the travel. It's not so annoying that you get upset by it. You just kind of laugh at the goofiness of these creatures. The other thing that if we want to retcon real quickly, I mean, you might be able to purchase like some cheap horses. I don't know how much money you guys have left, but they wouldn't be like what the thoroughbreds that you had purchased before. However, if you're traveling through the woods, you may not.
Yeah,
want
that's what I
them.
was thinking.
Yeah, can I just retcon? Could I have bought some licorice?
Sure. How about a silver piece for some licorice?
Could I spend 2 for quite a bit of licorice?
Sure. I think that's an easy enough thing to get. And it's not something that I'm sure is probably for magical spells or something, but people don't. That's an easy enough item that you could get. I mean, for the most part, like the general stuff. So if you needed like wax or pine tar or anything like that for spell components, you could get most of that stuff relatively easily. Because I would say that one of the things that has also cropped up in Ornkaima would be like an herbalist that would offer a number of herbs for healing and those types of things for poultices and things that the locals would use for their medicinal needs.
Okay. Well, could I have spent the other 8 silver pieces on just random ingredients then?
Yeah, why not? So, I mean, again, so if you guys are going from Ornkaima and making your way to Bariena, I mean, and for the most part, probably taking you could probably take a route, to this general direction relatively safely, because you probably want to at least stick to the road or close to the road versus like going straight through the desert. So if you kind of like took a direction like this where you were following the road but not on the road, I mean, it's still going to take you quite some time. So
Yeah.
see if put my travel time.
I can now
God,
cast haste.
Oh, I have it in. Also, everybody roll a D100.
Oh, this can't go bad.
A 35.
Oh, my goodness.
58. Well, at least I'm in the middle, so hopefully that means one of you got it worse.
Yeah. So we've all just rolled on the wild magic table.
Yeah. Oh, of course, I probably just deleted this thing. Wait, it's here. Nope. All right, well. Okay, so while you were all around town, you picked up a few additional items, and I'm not going to charge you for them. I'll say that you had to purchase them, but I don't want to put a monetary value on them. So I'm just rolling on the trinket table. I had you guys roll on the trinket table, so I'm going to give you all some trinkets. So Sorn, you got a white sequin glove sized for a human. So you have a Michael Jackson glove.
To put on my one hand.
Yeah. And I'll just say it's the opposite.
Please tell me. Yes. Yes. Thank you.
It's what you're missing your right hand.
Correct.
Yeah. So it is a right-handed glove. Just because why not?
Fuck you.
I can just imagine Soren buying that.
Well, maybe somebody just gave it to him. I don't know. Who knows? Well,
We'll
okay.
just stuff it with like grass or something, then glue it or like tape it to your arm.
Lena, this is even better. You have a shell of an egg that is painted with scenes of human misery in disturbing detail. So here, I will copy and paste this in so that you can copy and paste
A
it.
fucking Fabergé egg of fucking despair.
Yeah, so you can paste that into your character sheet if you'd like. That is what you have. And Ivar, you have the hilt of a broken sword.
All right. All right.
I remember I've gotten this multiple times. If you would roll a 64 on multiple characters, I've had this. A pyramid of sticky black incense that smells very bad. I've actually had that on multiple characters for whatever reason. And actually, I think, Rob, you had this on one of our other games. A nightcap that which when worn gives you pleasant dreams. Didn't you have that?
I had that with KT's game.
Yeah, with your robe.
I think Richter bought one of those for Astrid.
Yeah, he did.
It was like the painted purple one.
Yep.
Yeah, that was because there was
That crazy lady shop.
Yep, that shop that had all the purple. Everything was painted in purple. Yep.
Hmm.
So yeah, those are the trinkets that you now have for fun.
Yes, for fun, I will put that glove on my. Oh wait, stump.
So I'm telling you, we will just stuff it with grass or something like that, and just strap it to your wrist, so that way it looks like you have a hand.
Wait, I just need to find that guy who had the ring of regeneration and murder him.
He was actually in Ornkaima the last time you saw him. Maybe you can go find Bjorn, and Bjorn will track him down for you because he was that was the first.
Yeah.
Well, that was the first person that Bjorn wanted to
Mhm.
kill. Okay, here it is. Okay, so travel time. All right. So let me grab the map again. So we're looking at. So the question again is: were you going to stop at Barriena, or were you going to try to go to the mage?
If it's up to Son, Mage, but there's two other people.
My foot would go for mage first because Barrienna is where we're going to do the job. So probably go head home after, head back after that. So why not get this out of the way first?
Yep, Lena's fine with that.
Alrighty. So I don't even know why I'm deciding this because it's not going to make that much of a difference, but I'm just curious. Who would have known that D&D required so much? So roughly, it would take you about 18 days of walking to get to
Yay!
the general area, because I mean, you have a general idea about where the Archmage's Tower may be, but you were never specifically given directions because nobody actually bothered to go out there and find him. So, again, because I find it tedious and boring, I will just say that yes, you did have some random encounters of maybe some creatures that you had to fight, maybe some bandits tried to attack you, maybe some wolves tried to attack you. But the reality is that none of those things would have been enough to kill or harm any of you. So, for the sake of speed and interest, we'll say that
Soren
you
only lost his other hand.
exactly.
Don't tempt him, please. If I lose
'Cause-
my other hand, I am literally nothing anymore.
So I mean, like, there are very few instances where I feel like any of that is particularly interesting, and the only time that it is if, for example, I was going to introduce to you some bandits that possibly could reappear some later time down the road. That's not going to happen. So we'll say that you do run into a few of them here and there, and you do have to fight off some creatures, but I would have not thrown anything at you that would have been so dangerous that you would have been in danger of dying. So we'll say that it happened and that you did, it wasn't entirely clear sailing on the way. But I will say that on your, as you start to approach Barriena, and in particular, as you sort of make your way past Barriena and into the woods, you do notice that these woods are significantly different than the Dolan Marta forest where you spent a fair amount of time. Whereas the Dolan Marta forest is very much uh, a lush and somewhat mystical forest, which does inhabit, or a lot of fae actually inhabit the forest itself. There's a bit of a blend between uh, the fae realm and the primaterial plane there. Um, the forest that you're in now, with the exception of any evergreens, any deciduous trees are all dead. So it's a very different feel when you're walking through this place. You do hear some birds. You don't see a whole lot of wildlife aside from birds. It's very quiet. You can hear, your anytime that you hear your footsteps are quite loud. You can hear them echoing through the trees when you step on dead branches and they snap. You can hear them sort of echo around. It's it's somewhat ominous, but not like ominous in just that it's you're just in a dead place. Not ominous in that you expect something that's going to jump out at you and attack you or anything like that. Um, it's kind of in some respects it's solemn and kind of sad to walk through this place, knowing that this is most likely due to the war and the dead fields and just sort of the because in the distance to your south you can see the storm in the distance. It's not directly over you, but it's not a pleasant place to be by any stretch of the imagination. And it is at this point getting quite cold. We didn't put it on there, but we'll say that you guys did purchase some warm clothes. I don't know if that's even listed in the player's handbook. I think it is. Regardless, we'll say that you have some. So you're not the Ayla and Bjorn were more accustomed to sort of the colder weather, but the rest of you are not. Baranor is quite warm, and being from, if you're from Niska, it would be much warmer than where you are now. Soren, being underground, it's not like it's balmy and hot down there. So I mean, you're not probably as affected as the other two, but you're still not used to snow. And you may see a few flurries here, but you don't see any specifically. But you, out of the corner of your eye, you feel like you may see some creatures flying around, such as the undead bird that landed on Ayla's shoulder a few months prior. But nothing gets that close to you. And as you're walking through this, it takes you a few days walking, but you're following the general direction of where you were told, where Garland had mentioned that the Archmage would be, and eventually you can actually see a tower in the distance. It's actually surprisingly tall, and it is a fair bit taller than any of the trees that are surrounding it. As you get closer, though, go ahead and everybody make a perception check real quick.
Oh God, all of our strong suits. At least you guys did good.
Yeah, none of you are good with wisdom, right?
No, I've got a +2.
Yeah, because that's not a great stat for any of you. Yeah, for any of your classes, that's definitely not a.
I am a -1.
Yeah, again, combat wizard.
Yeah. So wait a minute. So what are all of your your top stats? So wizard for you is intelligence.
Well, at the moment, it's charisma of 20, but yes, it's supposed to be intelligence and dexterity.
And it's charisma for a paladin.
Well, my strength is higher, and then I also have 16 charisma, intelligence, and constitution.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's strength for attacks, and it's
charisma for spells.
And then what's the fighters?
Lena is dex based, so she's got high dexterity, but she's also got high intelligence and high charisma.
But generally, it's strength and a dexterity for fighters. But yeah, you don't have spells, so it's not as applicable. But all right, so Lena and Sorn, you hear some, I guess we'll say, unnatural noises as you start to approach. and you can see some movement at the base of the tower. Actually, a fair amount of movement at the base of the tower.
We should probably try and stay quiet. There's something at the base of the tower.
I hear something weird. That's not like a weird magic creature thing, is it?
How far away from the tower are we?
Maybe 500 yards at the most.
We should probably be quiet on the approach.
Well, quiet is not my strongest trait.
Well, we shall approach, but be careful because we don't know what is ahead.
All right. I'm willing to roll a stealth.
Again, Dex-based wizard, so a +7 in the stat.
Yeah. I rolled a 3. Well, I'm gonna pull out my sword and shield just to have it at the ready, because they said they saw stuff moving.
All right. So, as you guys approach a little bit closer, go ahead and do another perception check, everybody. So we'll say maybe you're 2 to 300 yards from there at the point.
I am killing these stat rolls.
Me and Lena got the exact same perception rolls as last time.
Yeah.
So, as you get closer, you can see, in addition to the noise, and as you get closer, you start to hear it a little bit more clearly. You can see at the base of the tower, and first and foremost, from the vantage point that you are right now, and you can see that since there's not a whole lot of vegetation, you can see relatively clearly, even though you're in a stand of trees. The mage tower appears to be quite tall, but at least at the base, there's no obvious entrance. Which Sorn, I mean, I'm not even gonna make you roll for it. You just from your experience and knowledge, I mean, that's pretty expected from a mage tower. Like they don't just have front doors generally that people walk into.
Yeah, please
They don't
don't
build-
visit.
Yeah, I mean, mage towers, they build them specifically so people will leave them alone most of the time. And per the discussion that you had with Garland, he had specifically mentioned the fact that Markand, who is the Archmage, was, or Remus Markand, his last name is Markand, he was purposely wanting to be left alone. But surrounding the base of this tower, you see a large number of what appear to be undead creatures that are sort of circling and sort of like clambering around the base of this tower. They appear to be not smart enough to like have any way of climbing it, but they are certainly surrounding it, and attempting to like do something that you can't quite get at this point.
Well, it seems there's some undead at the base of the tower.
Huh? This is where we need to go, and it is my duty to destroy these undead, so I see no problem.
Yeah, we can use them as the extra whatever gold that Alistair was going to give. Hopefully they would count.
Very well. As long as I am within 80 feet of them, I can engage in an instant.
Well, I do need to be quite close, so when you two are ready, I can head on in.
Yep, I'm fine. And Lena will pull out her pistol and shield.
Soren, if possible, try to keep an eye for if you see any movement inside of the tower. Do not want to startle an arcane user.
Well, luckily for you, you have one with you as well.
Yes, which is why I think it'd be best if you could perhaps send. I don't know what you can do, but let him know that we are not here for any harm.
Well, if I start casting magic, I'm pretty sure he'll figure out there's a wizard outside.
Yes. Well, how far does this pistol you called it shoot?
Um, where is that information? Oh, about 60 feet.
And you said we're still about how far away, Matt?
At this point, probably about 300 yards.
Okay.
And actually, real quick, you guys can talk amongst yourselves. I just got a phone call. They'll take me about 2 minutes, so just 1 second.
Okay.
Yeah, so my new battle strategy without Shadowblade is mirror image, haste, and blade song.
You'll be a pain in the ass to hit, but I mean then you just use your primal scratch or whatever the fuck it's called, primal fist.
Well, at level 6 I get 2 melee attacks, so 80 feet of movement, 3 attacks with 22 AC.
That'll.
It's kind of nasty.
Yeah. Yeah. See, I never played a caster that was like that, like being able to pump out like you said, you're a combat wizard.
Oh yeah.
So I like Richter was almost fully like support aside from like fireball.
I mean, I was considering doing like a regular wizard or like a sorcerer when we first started, but I just wanted to try something new, something I've never tried before.
Yeah. Wizards are so fucking fun.
I mean, like I said, and if we do a campaign after this, I'm looking at that witch hunter or blood hunter.
Okay.
So
I think that the bard, the school or college of whatever it is, whispers sounds amazing.
yeah, I said, certain classes like the bard or the gish classes have subclasses which are just fun.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I'm back. Sorry about that.
Yep. So, I think we all obviously need to get closer. Once we get about 100 feet out, I'm gonna look to Lena and say, "Would you mind if I held your pistol for 1 moment, please?"
Oh, sure. Then she hands him her pistol.
And he holds it in one hand. He takes his holy symbol out in the other, and you just see him mutter. Like you don't really hear what he's saying. He's muttering under his breath. And I would like to cast magic weapon on it.
Okay.
So up to an hour, you will have +1 attack and damage, and it counts as a magical weapon.
Sweet.
So now, strangely, the paladin is the only one who will not be doing full damage to the fucking undead. But I got smite, so we're good.
Yeah, so once I'm within 80 feet, I will be using my combo.
All right. So yeah, we'll. I mean, we're still trying to be quiet. I think both of you were very quiet. I'm just loud as hell.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
I think Lena would go off not too far away from the others, but like amongst the trees a little bit, get a little bit of cover.
And Ivar will just walk straight in, trying to gather as much of their attention as possible.
Yeah, and I'll be pre-casting spells as soon as they get close enough to him.
Roll 20 is garbage as per usual, so give me a second here. Hold up.
Yeah, I think I'll skip mirror image this time. I don't want to overdo it for zombies.
All right. So, because again, I didn't know exactly how this was going to play out. Go ahead and everybody roll initiative. And then
My big old +0.
Going to use our default battle map here. I don't have so you'll see to the lower part of the map here. I'm just using a square to. It's not actually a square tower; it's a circular tower, but it's just easier to make a square in Roll20. So that's what we're looking at.
I changed mine back to the 4. It deleted it for some reason.
Yeah, I'll change mine back to a 19.
Oh, why is it twice? That's weird.
Oh, there's a big boy down there.
Which technically you couldn't see, but I was gonna put him there anyway.
I mean, what big boy?
Yeah.
So yeah, it looks like has it just deleted it again?
Wait, yeah, it did again.
Oh, issue you guys are having. Mine's fine.
You took over my spot as the one who really matters. All right.
Give me a second. I need to edit that. It was 19. Every time a new token goes and it kicks me out of resetting it.
Really, out of this many things in combat, I still go last.
Okay, now it's. So can I precast my stuff?
Yeah. Do you guys see like Sorn twice and Ivar twice?
No.
No.
Okay, so this just.
Nope.
All right, I'll just leave it. All right. Yeah, you can precast anything that like.
Yeah, so I was precasting the Blade Song and Haste, so that's action, bonus action.
As we're like approaching and people are starting to break off, I will, if I'm allowed to, because I didn't say I was precasting anything, but if you'll let me, I will cast Bless on everyone.
Yeah, that's.
Okay. Oh, actually, no. Never mind. I take that back. That is a concentration spell. I'm keeping magic weapon up. So I will make a mark on myself so I remember to roll concentration checks.
Yeah, I'll have to do that for Haste as well if I get hit.
I'm no longer using magic.
All right. So I don't use tiebreakers for my enemies. So, Lena, you were first.
Okay. She will just take a step back, pull out her pistol, or I mean, she had it out, and fire at this middle one right there. And she will fire twice. Ooh.
Damn.
That's
and that's a +1 to damage and.
It doesn't matter. You
Yeah.
unload on this thing, and actually, its head explodes.
I mean, I'm just super impressed by the double crit.
Yeah.
Triple crit, I mean, with the damage too.
Yeah, I mean, like you just like rear back and just like fan the hammer, just like blasting this thing, and it just like splatters up against the side of the tower, and just this disgusting, decayed, bloody mess. And it's just
out of a possible 85, she rolled 79.
Yeah, it's absolutely
holy shit.
That's amazing.
She just looks at Ivar and it's like, what did you do?
Oh yeah, 100% taking full credit.
Yeah. And if Ayla was here, what was it like?
Ray of Frost.
Ray of Frost for 5 damage. And Lena
I mean,
just
it technically,
blasts this against the wall.
yeah. I always forgot gunslingers are fighters. You could just do that again, like if you wanted
Yeah.
to.
Action surge, blow it up again. All
Wow,
right.
that is
So yeah,
insane.
that absolutely just decimated that thing into pieces. So it is now this creature's turn. That these things don't have good movement. So let's see. It does not notice anything at this point. So it just stays where it is. That one doesn't do anything either. Yeah, for the most part, they're not going to do a whole lot. Because they're very intent on this tower. So Soren, it is your turn.
So yeah, I've got 80 feet of movement, so I can pretty much go anywhere. I'll run over to this one for now. I will attempt to stab it with the very thin stick. And I will haste action, stick it with the very thin stick again.
All right, so it is still standing, but you've done a significant amount of damage, and it, like you can see, like it's hacking off pieces of it, and it is kind of clambering around even more than it was. But they seem to be very intent on, even as you're like hacking off its arms, it's still not really paying much attention to you, and it seems to be very focused on this tower.
Well, that's perfectly fine by me.
This creature's turn is not going to do much. That one I'm going to remove because it's dead. This one actually is just going to kind of like move its way over to you and try and like hit you.
AC's 22.
How about an 8?
I think that's gonna miss.
All right, so this guy up here. And this guy right here is actually going to whip out his longbow and attempt to hit Ivar. What's your
Okay.
AC?
18.
All right, so the first one's 19.
All right.
So you take 8 points of piercing damage, and its second attack is also an 18.
That'll hit.
So you take an additional 4, so you take a total of 12 points of piercing damage.
All right.
And it is your turn.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. All right. So, yep, I will move 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 into the middle of these two. This is the one that was already hit, right?
Correct.
Yeah, that was.
Oh, actually, just because I forgot, I keep it up for magic weapon.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so I will take a swing at the damaged one first with my longsword. That'll do half damage.
It's still enough.
Okay.
Down.
And I will swap up to this one, spin around and try to slash at him as well with my second attack. And because that damage sucks, I will put a first level Divine Smite into it, which will do 13 more damage since it is undead.
Nice. All right.
And that'll be my turn.
All right, Lena, you're up.
Yep, she will stay where she is and fire twice more.
At the one next to Swan.
Yeah.
All right, so the first one actually explodes its head all over the two of them, so it's dead. So you can take that second shot somewhere else if you want to.
Yeah, she'll take it to that one.
8 damage because magic weapon. I mean, Lena, if you want to make just an extra one that's like a +1 pistol, feel free, because I will probably be using magic weapon on you since it is hard to get silver bullets.
However, a 17 doesn't hit it.
Ooh.
The guy over here, it does not hit him.
Oh.
The other one's dead, but the 17 doesn't hit that guy.
Okay, and yeah, I'll make one at some point.
Yeah.
Good.
So it is this guy's turn. So he will come up and try to attack Ivar, probably badly because zombies are garbage.
Hey, come on! You just shot me twice.
Well, yeah, but that guy's not a zombie. This
Yeah,
guy's
true,
a
true.
zombie. That's a 6.
Okay.
So, yep, he is useless. And then it is this guy's turn. He's going to stay where he is. This guy. He'll come here, I guess. He'll be able to. Ivar again for a 5. Thorn, it is your turn. Zombies are crap.
I will dash to the other side of the longbow zombie and attempt to take 2 swings with the rapier.
$21 hits.
Yeah, that's it.
Damage already. Guy will come up and he actually, you know what? He's gonna stay where he is and he's gonna try and shoot you with a short bow, which is a crit 24. Let me pull up my crit sheet, see what he does to you.
Let me guess, he takes out an eye.
He shoots your other hand off with an arrow.
You did lose your hand from the other one.
Wouldn't surprise me at all.
Just for fun. All right, so I got to do a D100. 63.
I mean, the irony is, I could have shielded that, but it's a crit, so it makes no fucking difference.
Mm-hmm.
And this is piercing damage. Make a Constitution saving throw.
You'll have a +4 with it. Oh shit! I forgot. Oh no, wait! I didn't bless you guys. Never mind. It's gonna take a lot of getting used to casting spells again.
I was just... Do I roll at advantage due to Warcaster?
What does Warcaster do?
I think
That's
it's
for
just
concentration checks.
just for
I think.
spells, I think.
You have advantage on Constitution saves that you make to maintain concentration on a spell when you take damage.
Well, I'll be doing that anyway because I've just been shot.
I guess you would. You actually would have passed it anyway. It was a DC 14, so. So you take 12 points of piercing damage. You would have taken all that would have happened is you would have taken an additional 1d6 if you would have failed that. So.
And I'll roll again because I've got haste. So yeah, I keep haste.
All right. So it's that guy's turn, but he's dead. And then it's that guy's turn, but he's dead. So it is Big Boy's turn, and he's going to stay there pounding on the tower. So it is now that guy's turn next to you. So Zorn, he will. All right. What's your AC now?
22.
Okay, so he misses with a 19, and then he will attempt to attack again. That's another crit, a 24.
See, you have this thing about critting me.
I do.
Trust me, if I was a DM, I would have a thing about critting fucking 22 AC wizards too.
So this was a little bit different. What did I roll? 33. And it is magical damage. Okay. So you take 12 points of necrotic damage, and then roll a DC. Well, I don't want to tell you what that is yet. Roll another Constitution saving throw with advantage because you're
Yes, so I need to roll 2 Constitution saves anyway.
That passes. That passes. that was actually just for what he did to you. But you also okay, I'll let you do it. Roll 1d6.
God, what have you just took off my body now?
This was for the crit. That was for the thing. Okay, so your AC is reduced by 3, and then roll another d6. Okay, so your AC is reduced by 3 for 1 round. That was the crit.
So I have an AC of 19 for 1 round.
For the next round, your AC is only 19. That was the erode magical effect for the
Do you
crit.
know what? With the amount of times you crit me, I'm going to start casting mirror image as well. Just as a big middle finger.
All right, Ivar, it is your turn.
All right. This guy first, the one below me, because I don't think either of them have taken damage.
Correct.
So swipe at him. Missing.
Actually, for a zombie.
Oh wait, yeah, I forgot they're different ones.
Yep,
So that hits.
that hits.
Okay, so I will pump a divine smite into that one as well. So an extra 18 points of damage.
So that kills it.
So it would only be 6 though, because it's not a silvered weapon. So it would have been 6 plus 18, which is 24.
It has 22 hit points, so it's still dead.
Okay. So I will aim for the other one, and I will do another longsword, hitting.
Yep.
And I will pump another divine smite into it for So I think they're both gone.
That is correct.
All right, and then I will use my 1, 2, 3. I'll take an attack of opportunity from that guy and move down in this direction.
Let me think that. Okay, so this. Yeah, he misses you on the attack.
All right, and that's my turn.
Right. Music's annoying me. Let me reset it. Lena, it is your turn.
Okay. She spends one of her attacks reloading and then fires once at the guy beside Soren.
You do a lot of damage.
19 does hit. So are you attacking again because he's still up?
Nope, I can't because I used one of my attacks to reload. So
Gotcha.
Lena is done.
All right, so that guy's dead. This guy's turn. He will come up here. And 17, which misses, right?
Just misses.
All right. And that one's dead. So Soren, it is your turn.
I will attempt to hopefully attack this one and not get critted on the next turn.
17 misses, 21 hit.
For 9 damage.
Right. And let's not forget, Ayla basically got killed in the first round of the last one because of a crit. So you're still standing. So
And didn't she have like a saving throw to see if she would have just flat out died too?
yes.
Yeah,
And
that was insane.
And if
Yep.
Thorgrim wasn't there, she literally would have died. And this whole campaign would have been completely different because she wouldn't have been able to betray anyone because she would have been dead.
Yeah.
Yep. Oh, when that happened, I was like, no.
You gotta love D&D, right? Like, I mean, that literally would have changed the entire game.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
All right, so it is this guy's turn. He will come up here. Actually, he's going to come up here.
Advantage.
And then let me pull up one. I mean, that is. I rolled 2 6s. So with advantage, he had a 6. So it is Big Boy's turn. he can come up here. He's going to join the fray. Oh my god. I'm rolling like garbage except against Soren. So he misses as well.
All right.
And now it is the guy next to Soren, so I'm sure I will
Who's
crit
going
now.
to crit
Crit
twice?
me. Fucking crit me. With a 19 AC. Go ahead.
In this case, I rolled a 17 on the first one. He's a multi-attack. He attacks twice. So 17 and a 9 on the second one. So he misses you both times. All right, Ivar, it is your turn.
All right. Yeah. So, big dude just came into play, but I'm still gonna try to take out this one first, since I would rather not have 3 things on me. I'll try to cut it down. So aiming for the top one, 12 damage. So that will be 6. I'm assuming I hit.
Yeah, you do.
And one more. If I hit, that is 4. So 10 points of damage total.
All right. So yeah, you it's a skeleton in front of you. So you like hack off a few bones, and it's kind of lumbering around, but it's still standing.
All right. And that is my turn.
Lena, it is your turn.
Okay, Lena will move there so she can get a good vantage, and fire twice at the big one.
The big boy down here.
Yeah, this guy.
What do you get the extra +3 from?
You mean in the weapon attack?
Yeah.
One of them is the magic weapon thing, and then I also have the whatever.
The archery, which affects.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. You are gonna roll fucking insanely high numbers.
Yeah. Who's gonna miss Ayla now? Ray of Frost for 5 points of damage. Lena, 47 points of damage.
She kept them alive until she betrayed them.
That's true. That is true. So big boy down here gets hit by both of those. So 29 points of damage. So you can definitely tell you got his attention there.
Oh dear.
It is now the guy down below. Ivar.
With advantage.
7 and a 9. Soren, it is your turn.
Well, I'll move down once. I'll attempt one at the one I was already attacking. Nope. And I will attack at advantage the one below me.
That actually, 15, 5 points of damage is actually enough to take that skeleton out.
Nice.
Yeah, I just need to hope to God Matt doesn't hit me again, because every time he does 12 damage.
Yeah, that one, it was that one's turn, so he is gone. It is now Big Boy's turn. He will continue attacking Ivar. And he rolls a 15 and misses.
All right.
So it is now the other guy's turn. He will pull out his longbow and attempt to hit Lena, since she attacked the big guy. An 11 and then a crit. 24.
Wow.
I'm rolling all kinds of crits today.
Do not like this zombie.
So you take 10 points of piercing damage just from that hit, and then we'll see with the 15. That's actually a low number, so that's good for you. Let's see. Okay, so with the crit, you take double damage, in fact. So you take 20 points of damage instead of 10.
Okay.
Okay, so double damage, and he gets to take another attack against you with disadvantage. So I will roll 2 more times for him at disadvantage. Let's see. So, well, I only need to roll once. He rolls 7, so he misses you on his extra attack.
Okay.
Ivar's turn.
All right. Going for the guy below me. Big old longsword attack. 9, I'm assuming misses.
Double check on these guys. Skeleton. Yes, that misses.
Okay, one more.
That hit.
All right, and I'm going to save a first level spell and pump a second level. Actually, no, I'll just do a first level one. A first level smite into this for an extra 17 damage.
Yeah, he is down.
Okay. So I have 2 second level spells left. All right.
And Lena, it is your turn.
Okay, she will.
So right now there's only 2 guys up.
Yeah, she will. Whoops. Fire at long hair guy. Miss.
Yes, 14 misses.
Then reload. Do action surge, and then fire twice more.
Yeah. So actually, the first one misses with 13. The second one hits and actually kills him.
Nice.
So it's only the big boy remaining.
Imagine when you get a big gun, how much damage you're going to do.
I'm excited.
You just got to make sure you give them names. Like,
Yeah.
I don't even remember what they were now, but
Bad news. That's the only one I
news and-
remember.
yeah. They had the pepper box, but that wasn't the name of it. That's just what the type of gun it was.
I
feel
remember.
like I named her pistol. I don't remember what I named it. Oh well.
I think one was Animus. I can't remember if that was his original or the one he took from the other person.
That's the one he took. I will try to stick him twice.
Retort and animus.
Retort. Yes.
Yeah, that's it for me.
Sorry, I was looking up his gun name. Bad news, retort, animus. I feel like there was other ones, but I can't. So both of those hit him. Big creatures tend to have low AC. Damage. It is now his turn. And he's going to continue trying to wail on Ivar.
All right.
Missed every time so far, and he continues to do so with an 11. Guy is
Okay.
down, so it is your turn.
All right. It is my turn. I will go ahead and take 2 slashes at him. First one, missing terribly. Do you have crit fail tables?
I don't have crit fails, no. Because
Okay.
I feel like that's too punishing.
Okay, because I was gonna say, do I even get a second attack? 16,
That hits.
and that is only 3 points of damage because I'm not using another smite yet.
All right, Lena, you're up.
Okay. She will fire twice at it.
Holy shit!
26 points of damage. Definitely hurting at this point.
I'm having a fun time.
I'm just saying, Ayla betraying you was the best thing that could have happened because Lena is just destroying
She's
stuff.
a fuck. She's Chris Kyle. What the fuck?
Yeah, I mean, wow.
Actually, I
Level
don't even know if
5,
the
she's
two
just, like,
non-Americans would get
destroying
that reference.
Probably.
Yeah,
not.
I don't know.
He's like the most famous American sniper in history.
Oh,
Soren, you are up.
I will try to stab it with this toothpick twice more.
Both of those hit. So he has exactly 15 hit points left. So how do you want to do this?
I will slash at the back of his knees while Ayla knocks him on his ass with those gunshots.
All right, he is gone. So that ended up being a lot easier than I was expecting it to be for you guys.
Dude, if I can keep magic weapon on Lena, I do not see her not being able to kill something.
I mean, undead in particular, forget about it.
Holy shit! But yeah, just because I would highly recommend the movie because I thought it was an amazing movie. That's the movie of Chris Kyle.
It's American Sniper.
Yep, I love. Well, I'm a
Oh.
big Bradley Cooper fan as well.
That's on my list. That doesn't tend to get smaller.
I was gonna say, we add like 50 movies to your list.
You have added a lot of movies to my
The
list.
next movie on my list that I actually plan on seeing that isn't involving my nieces or nephew and just a new Disney movie is Fantastic Beasts 3. Just got a date to release in 2021.
Yeah, I haven't seen any of the. I was a huge Harry Potter fan, but I didn't watch the Fantastic Beast. But
I
I
like
am
'em.
now. I'm now. Was it next week? The Disney Plus comes out, so like I'm real tempted about getting that so that I can watch some of the. Go back and watch all the Marvel movies again.
Yeah, see, I never watched a lot of the comic book movies, even like back in the day when Tobey Maguire was Spider-Man. It just never was really that interesting to me. I was always more fantasy than superhero stuff.
I definitely am as well. I definitely prefer. Although like because I think Lord of the Rings is one of my favorite like series of movies ever. But
Yep.
like The Hobbit is terrible. So
Well, I think the thing with me is, I love Deadpool because I think that's how superhero movies should be. They're not like always kid friendly. So
yeah,
like when they're the more like gritty ones, I like them.
Deadpool was pretty good. All right, so you destroy all of the undead surprisingly quite easily, although you did take a bit of damage there. But as you sort of cleared them out, you can see that the tower that is in front of you is rather simple looking, somewhat unadorned from the outside, probably about 100 feet or so into the sky there. It is actually jet black, and sort of tapers to a point at the very top. And as mentioned earlier, there does not appear to be a door. However, upon approaching the tower and after having killed these creatures, this bestial-looking face sort of extends from the tower and says, "State your business."
We are here seeking an audience with the Archmage.
And after a short little pause, you can hear, "Very well, proceed." And then a section of the wall sort of slides open to reveal the interior of the tower.
Real quick, if I look at Soren, how hurt are you? Like, just standing?
Well, he hit me twice, and let's say percentage-wise, I'm at 33%.
Okay. I will, before you go ahead and walk in, I will walk up to you, put a hand on your shoulder, and give you. I don't know exactly how much you're missing, so this might be a bit overkill or not, but I will give you back 20 hit points of healing.
Yeah, that'll just put me under full.
Okay, yeah. And I'll just look at you and say, just in case he is not as friendly as we hope.
Well, we shall see.
And Ayla, sorry, but your magic's gone.
Yep, no more healing.
Well, no, I'm talking about your weapon.
Oh, you
I'm
said
pretty
Ayla,
sure-
and then I was like,
Oh my god, Ayla, shit, yeah, wow, that's going to take a time to get used to, too.
Yep. Yeah, Lena's just like, oh, that's fine.
Well, I would not put our weapons away just yet. We still do not know what his intentions are.
If an Archmage wishes to kill us. It doesn't matter if you have your sword out or not.
Well, this may be true, but I would rather die fighting.
Well, let us head in and hopefully receive a warmer welcome than we did out here.
And as we're walking in, I would like to just go ahead and try this.
Okay.
Just in case.
Yeah, you do not sense anything at all.
Okay. And I will let them know. I'll be like, well, I can pretty surely say that he is not undead himself, nor a fiend. So this might not be as bad as I think.
That's good.
So, as you enter into the tower, you can see that the inside of the tower that you walk into is about 30 feet in diameter, and there is a spiral staircase that is leading upward that stands in the middle of the room. And just like the outside of the tower, the walls inside are jet black and covered in these sort of reliefs depicting a wide variety of different scenes, from like battles and coronations to, castles and towers and stuff like that. But aside from and as soon as you walk in, the door behind you closes and then essentially disappears. So you're essentially standing in a 30-foot diameter circular room with no openings, some reliefs carved into the walls, and a spiral staircase in the center of the room. All the
Well, I believe we should ascend the stairs.
Yes.
So, if you choose to go up the stairs, it doesn't seem like it's abnormally a long set of stairs. It seems reasonable to get to the second floor, and as you do get to the second floor, you appear to be in a landing that is identical to the one that you just came from, but as you exit from the stairs, it essentially closes itself off. So at this point, you can no longer go down, but there are more stairs leading up.
Oh. It seems we have very little choice on direction.
Well, this is someone more of your kind. I will follow your lead.
Very well. If this person didn't wish for us to meet us, we wouldn't have even gotten into the tower. So let us hopefully just climb maybe not too many more flights of stairs.
Would you like me to perhaps call out and see if it is okay for us to approach?
Again, if it was not okay, we wouldn't have been able to enter.
Very good.
And we continue up the stairs.
All right. So you do so, and then and it's the same thing every floor. You get up to the next floor, and it is the stairwell is essentially closed off as you reach the top. And the rooms appear to be very. There may be. It's hard to tell exactly, but the carvings even appear to be the same. It's almost like you're going into the same room over and over and over again. And you probably do this for about 10 floors before you're like, okay, let me see if there's anything else happening. So everybody go ahead and do a investigation check.
Well, I'm actually not terrible at these.
Wow.
The wizard in the mage tower is like, where am I?
He's too fucking busy looking at everything. Oh my god, I want that. I want that.
So, Lena and Ivar, at almost the exact same time, you guys are looking at these walls, and you spot a a, uh, a very obvious to you now sort of spot on these reliefs on the wall that looks like a button almost that you can press into. So you guys kind of like touch hands as you both kind of press on the wall at the same time, while Soren is just twiddling his thumbs or something. I don't know what he's doing, but he completely misses the whole thing. And as you do so, there's this wide hallway that opens up, and you can see that there is these very very long corridor of hallways, and on each side there are these iron-bound wooden doors on both sides, and it this hallway stretches beyond your the limit of your vision. So it almost looks never ending at this point. But the first set of doors that you can see, in your line of vision, there are roughly about 10 or so. 5 on each side. Essentially, they're staggered, so they're not exactly directly across the hall from each other. But you can see that there's writing on the door jambs above each one of these doors. Um, I don't think any of you can read them, given what languages you understand.
Give me 10
Uh,
minutes.
I have one other language I can read that I haven't checked or I haven't put yet. So don't tell me what it is. I'm gonna try to just. Well, actually, no. I'm not gonna pick this one anyway. Probably.
What languages does everybody speak by
Well,
default?
Common, Elvis, Celestial, Infernal, and +1. So, my last one I'll take will be. What the fuck else goes with these?
Well, generally, magic is draconic.
Yeah, but no, I don't want to take it for that. I want to see what like my guy. I'll say I know Dwarvish as well
Okay.
as my last language.
Common, Elvish, Undercommon.
And common, elvish, dwarvish.
Actually, is there any sort of breakdown of like followers of Kellamvor, what they usually are, or
Or when I cast that, everything.
Kellenbor was a human, so
yeah?
I would assume that I don't think he would have a specific like cast of people that would have followed him that would have given him a specific language. So with comprehend languages, you do recognize what this is, which is in fact draconic. So, on the first door, as you're reading them, it's like it's the wording above the doors seem like a riddle, but as you're reading them, you kind of get to the idea that they sound like a riddle, but you don't think that they actually are, because as you're reading them, they don't sound connected to the point where you're like trying to solve a riddle. They just seem to be cryptic more than. As you're reading them, you decide that they're cryptic, and they're not like connected to the point that they would like, oh well, this means this and that means that. So I can give you the first 10 doors, which is what you see, and then you can decide which door you would like to open. But on the first door that you see, it gives a number, and it says 0 doors and you're trapped. On the next door, it says 1 door and you have no choice. On the next door, it says 1 door spells your doom. And the next says 2 doors present a difficult decision. And the next says 3 doors are a bad gamble. And the next says 5 doors bring great suffering. The next says 8 doors erode hope. The next says 10 doors are a jungle of destruction. The next says 13 doors foretell impossible calamity. And the final door says 21 doors are the beginning of the end.
I'm very happy I'm not playing the wizard.
Yeah, unfortunately, you have an idiot playing the wizard, so I'm going to need a few minutes.
And just because I just looked up what other languages have like go with the Elven script, I'm going to do Sylvan since that is also Elvish.
Yep. Talk to the fake creature.
Mm-hmm.
None of those doors sound good.
Yeah, could I get that typed in one of the chats, please?
Well, the reality is that I don't think that it's gonna. I mean, I will. I don't think it's gonna help a whole lot because again, the way that this is set up is that it seems like a riddle, but really isn't. The clue. Well, roll an intelligence check real quick. Everybody can if you want.
Yeah, unfortunately, the player as playing a wizard is not overly smart.
Well, that I'm not even. Well, y'all did really well. But here's the thing. So, like, I didn't come up with this particular.
Yeah, it's
setup.
not really a riddle. It's like just true statements.
Right. And
Because if
so,
there's not a door, you're trapped. You can't go anywhere.
right. And so, like, I spent a lot of time trying to figure out, like, what, like, because I took this from something else, and I was like, I don't see this as a riddle at all, and I don't really get exactly what they're trying to do. So I know what the right answer is, and I don't know how anybody would generally understand the right answer. So I'm going to give you a hint that should hopefully pretty much, with all of you rolling very high intelligence checks. The hint I will give you is that of what you can see and what you're reading, there are 10 doors. There are 10 doors that have a thing over them. Because if you look too, it's like none of the what it says they do are a thing that you would obviously be like, oh, well, that's the thing that's not terrible. Let me pick that one.
Well, there are 10 doors and there's one that says 10, but then the only one that's repeated is one door.
And I'll say if you continue on past these 10 doors, it starts to repeat itself again with these same because the hallway seems to go on forever, but it's only these 10. So after you reach the 10th door, it starts over with 0 doors and you're trapped.
I'm going to open 2 doors.
I had meant to move you guys back to the map here, not leave you where we were.
Yeah. Could I open the one door of no choice and the one door of doom?
So you're going to open the first door first.
Yeah.
All right. So when you go to reach for that first door, you turn the knob and pull, and the doorknob actually detaches from the door, and it's trailing this long, sort of thick cord of goo, and you find that you're kind of unable to like let go of this knob that is now in your hand, and you can see that the door starts to shudder and makes a sort of groaning sound and seems to come alive, and then it rips itself away from the wall, and this large tooth mouth sort of opens up in the center of it, and behind this living door that has just jumped off of this wall, there's nothing but a blank wall. And that's where we'll go ahead and end, actually. So we will start with you attacking this whatever it is that just came off the wall there.
I miss playing Bjorn. He wouldn't have to worry.